Right now, search and rescue efforts are underway in California after an avalanche impacted a group of backcountry skiers. Those search and rescue efforts still looking. Search and rescuers still trying to recover and rescue 9 skiers. We'll have a live update from authorities in California coming up in just moments. And we are also now on day 3 of the trial of Colin Gray, the father of the accused Appalachia High School shooter. His trial is underway right now in Barrow County. We'll have a live report from our Grace King, who has been inside of the courtroom, coming up in just moments. And we are also bringing you the latest on a Delta flight on its way to Atlanta from Houston that had to turn around after the airline says a passenger displayed what they describe as a, quote, unlawful behavior. We'll have more on that coming up shortly. But we begin right now with day 3 of the Colin Gray trial. Our Grace King joining us live, and as we are looking inside of the courtroom right now, that is where Grace King has been throughout the day, listening to all of the testimony and the evidence being presented. Grace is joining us here now. Grace, bring us up to speed. What have you seen? What has the jury seen over the last few hours of testimony?
Well, today we've really heard what's happened in the hours leading up to the shooting at the school. Now, of course, yesterday we heard a lot of emotional testimony about the injuries, what it was like during the shooting. This morning, we focused on kind of the hours leading up and then the actual shooting itself. So we started off with the assistant principal this morning. She said, she got an email from Colt's first period teacher around 8:46 a.m. And the first period teacher said, "Hey, I have a new student in my class. He's asking about active shooter drills. I find it very odd, and I just wanted to let someone know." Then the class change happens a little bit later, and the first period teacher runs into the assistant principal's office very alarmed, and she's like, "His backpack is very heavy. It has this poster board. It's bulging. I worry there could be something in it. I worry something could happen." It was just very distressed is what the assistant principal testified to. And at that point, they're like, all right, we should probably go find this Colt Gray. The principal tells the teacher that she will handle the situation. The first period teacher goes back to her class. And then the principal starts looking for him. There were 2 kids in that second period class that Colt Gray had. Both of them had almost identical names. So they pull out the kid with a very, very similar name to Colt Gray, start questioning him, search his backpack, and he's very confused. And he tells them, "I think you might be looking for Colt Gray." He sits across from me in class. He's new. But part of the problem is Colt hadn't really been steadily enrolled in school over the last couple of months. So they didn't have any up-to-date, or the last year and a half, really. So they didn't have any up-to-date picture. The most recent picture Barrow County had from Colt Gray was 4th grade. He was obviously very young in that photo. He had short brown hair by the time they arrested him. He had long blonde hair. So they just had no idea who they were looking for and spent about an hour and a half searching for him, ultimately to no avail. That's when the school resource officers heard gunshots and rushed and thankfully brought the shooting to an end quickly. But of course, it was just tough to watch and tough to hear about all the different efforts they had made that morning with no success.
Our Grace King with this latest update from inside the courtroom in Barrow County. Grace, thank you for breaking all of that down. We're going to check back in with you in just a little bit. We are going to turn now to a press conference underway in California. These are authorities in California bringing an update on the search and rescue effort to find and recover 9 missing skiers trapped after an avalanche. Let's listen in.
Initially reported that 16 individuals were on a guided trip by Blackbird Mountain Guides out of Truckee. There were 4 guides and initially reported as 12 guests. This information was later updated after we got on scene. We were working with Blackbird Mountain Guides the entire time. They provided us with their manifest for their trip. Initially, that trip had 12 clients signed up for that trip. Once we got on scene, we were told and confirmed that only 11 went on that trip. One person, last minute, decided to back out of that trip. So this was a part of a 3-day trip from Blackbird Mountain Guides to the Frog Lake Huts, which is right in that area of Castle Peak. They have been, and yesterday was their 3rd day that they were returning, coming out of the backcountry, coming back to the trailhead when the avalanche occurred. The sheriff's office, along with Truckee Fire, immediately started coordinating a response to get into the area, and we requested mutual aid from both our friends to the east, the Placer County Sheriff's Office, and the Tahoe Nordic Search and Rescue Team. We also requested assistance from our friends farther to the east in the state of Nevada, the Washoe County Sheriff's Office and the Washoe County Search and Rescue Team. That was all coordinated through our mutual aid system in California, which is the California Office of Emergency Services. Highly skilled rescue teams departed yesterday from both our Boreal Mountain Ski Resort, which is on the south side of the highway right there at the trailhead, and at the Tahoe Donner Alder Creek Adventure Center, which is in Tahoe Donner. So we had two different teams deploying, roughly 50 skilled folks deploying into the scene, both from the south side and from the north side, trying to come in to this area. Extreme weather conditions, I would say, is an understatement. Lots of snow, gale force winds, winds making it impossible to see. So it was very much a slow and steady pace, going with snowcats, skiers, going up into the area, which is still considered a very high danger for avalanche. So our tracked mobile equipment, getting them to the scene on Highway 80, which was closed, lots of snow on the roadway. Took us a while to get our equipment into the location before we could deploy into the backcountry. And then once we decided to put the teams out there, again, with lots of safety plans, I can't stress that enough, making sure that our responders and our volunteers and our staff were safe in getting to the location, knowing that we had 6 survivors based on the information that we were getting on communication through the iPhone SOS, that we could have conversations with them. Once we arrived at the location, it was just after 5:30 p.m. last night when we had a snowcat that was able to get to about 2 miles before they got to the scene. And so from the 2 miles in, they skied in, because again, the tracked machinery and the potential for another avalanche. So they skied in from there. They were able to locate the 6 survivors. They were sheltered. They had some equipment with them trying to not only stay warm, but they had medical issues as well. They had themselves already started, looking for their teammates and their clients that were missing in the avalanche. They were able to locate 3 decedents at the time when they were waiting for us to get there to help rescue them. Once at 5:30, once our team got there, again, extreme conditions. The 2 of the 6 were not mobile. They could not walk because of the injuries they sustained during the avalanche. And we were able to safely get them the 2 miles from that location to the snowcat. And 4 others were able to get to the snowcat themselves. So all 6 were rescued off of the mountain. The information I have at the time at this time is that of the 6, 1 was a Blackbird Mountain guide, and 5 survivors were clients on that tour. Of the folks that are missing, so again, a total of 11, right? 9 women and 6 men total. Of the 15 that were on this guided trip, they were 9 women and 6 men. We were able to rescue 1 man and 5 women. So the survivors, ranging in ages from 30 to 55 years of age. 8 of the 9 additional skiers have been located deceased. We are still looking for 1 of the members at this time. Due to the ongoing challenges of the weather, the avalanche conditions, the effort remains ongoing, as well as our search for the remaining skier. But the weather is a factor. It's not a resource issue as we speak. It is a weather condition and safety condition for our response teams. Of the 2 that were injured, 1 individual was stabilized last night and released. 1 is still being treated at the hospital. I've been told both subjects are non-life-threatening injuries, so that's good to know. The guide company has been very cooperative, providing us the individual information from their trip. They also had members arrive at our location when we deployed into the and they responded with us. They wanted to do everything that they could to assist. The cause of death clearly will not be able to be confirmed. One, we still have to get to the decedents. We still have to be able to identify those decedents, and then we will determine through contract with Placer County. We contract with them for all of our pathology. That should take some time to determine mechanism of injury and truly the cause of death for these individuals. The avalanche yesterday was about 1 mile away from a different avalanche that occurred at the beginning of January in that same Castle Peak area. Please understand that this incident remains ongoing. Our focus remains on recovering, but the snow and the unsure conditions are creating an issue to making sure that we can safely do that. We did have a conversation with the families of the folks that are still outstanding, and let them know that our mission has went from a rescue to a recovery. It's a difficult conversation to have with loved ones, so I please ask for your patience with the family members. This is ongoing, and I can't even imagine the amount of questions and stress that those families are going through right now as we move forward through this. Public safety reminders. Check avalanche forecasts and weather reports before traveling anywhere in the backcountry. Locally, the Sierra Avalanche Center is a great resource. Avoid closed areas, posted areas, avoid all of those high-risk areas. Always communicate your plans. Travel with a partner, share your route, and consider all of the avalanche training dangers that are in our beautiful community, but definitely a high danger for that. So with that, I'll ask the Placer County Sheriff Wayne Wu to come up and talk about.
And we have been listening in live to Nevada County Sheriff Shannon Moon. You just saw her step away from the podium there. That is the Sheriff of Nevada County, California, Sheriff Shannon Moon, delivering a tough update on the search and rescue efforts for 15 skiers who were caught in an avalanche in California near Lake Tahoe. That avalanche triggered yesterday. Search and rescue efforts had been ongoing. This is the latest update from the sheriff. 6 people have been rescued. 8 people have been located deceased. 1 other person is still missing. Sheriff Moon saying that now the mission has shifted from a rescue mission to a recovery mission. The sheriff also pointing out that the weather conditions have been a challenge for rescue efforts. You're looking at images of what can only be described as blizzard conditions in the area that have been ongoing over the last few days. According to one source here, the Boreal Mountain Ski Resort, which is near Castle Peak, which is in the area close to the popular backcountry skiing destination where this avalanche was triggered, Boreal Mountain Ski Resort reported about 30 inches of snow in just the last 24 hours, making rescue efforts challenging, as you heard Sheriff Shannon Moon describing there. Again, if you have been following the search and rescue efforts for the 15 people caught in an avalanche in a backcountry ski area near Lake Tahoe, California, the sheriff of Nevada County now updating. 6 people have been rescued. 8 have been located deceased. 1 more is still missing. The sheriff saying the mission has now shifted from a rescue mission to a recovery mission. We'll continue to bring you all the updates as surely there will be questions about how all of this unfolded as we get answers to those questions. We're going to go to break right now. We'll be right back. We turn now to this medical story and a new trend in orthopedic treatment. We're joined now live by regenerative orthopedics physician, Dr. Trevor Turner. Doctor, we appreciate your time and your expertise and you sharing it with us. Let's start here. When people think of orthopedics and orthopedic surgery, they think of surgery often front of mind. How have things been changing in recent years?
Thank you so much for the opportunity to discuss this. So, many years ago, there was a type of laser that was used in orthopedics, and it was a very overpowered laser. It was very ablative, and what people found was that the outcomes after using it were not very good. Since that time, we've had refinements of technology, and there's a novel type of laser on the market today called Regenelace, which is a fractional laser that allows us to actually, through a needle, so the tip of this laser is actually smaller than an end of a paper clip, basically insert this under local anesthesia so that a patient doesn't need to have any actual surgery, and can be used to treat cartilage disease on the inside of the knee, as well as cartilage disease or problems on the inside of a disc in the lumbar spine, which is very, very exciting, especially after the human clinical trial data that was used to develop this technology showed that even within 6 months, we were having regeneration of hyaline-like cartilage on the surface of a knee, which is really just not something that we otherwise see or find in medicine.
Dr. Turner, a question for you. When people hear your description of the laser and its usage and how it has gotten less invasive, some of that is a little technical. For somebody who is a layman, what is the outcome? What is presumably the benefit of deploying less invasive, less disruptive techniques when undergoing treatment for what are sometimes common ailments with knee and spine issues?
Yeah, I think if we go back to either, the type of recovery that's required after a knee replacement, let's say, or, a spinal fusion, oftentimes that recovery is long and can be hard. It can be 12 weeks or longer. It can require a lot of medication and a lot of physical therapy. And so the use of this novel type of laser, especially when combined with, some FDA compliant regenerative approaches, really enable the patient to have a lot less pain and improve their function, not only more quickly, but also for the long run, often with minimal downtime that would be required after a typical cartilage procedure or joint replacement.
One of the things we talk about a lot, and folks in the medical profession talk about a lot as well, is the importance of being an informed patient and asking good questions. For somebody who might be watching this right now and listening in, maybe they have some hip or some knee or some spine pain they're thinking about getting treatment for. What questions would you suggest they ask their physicians about what kind of treatments would be right for them?
Well, I think anybody now, especially with the advent of a lot of these kind of large language model and artificial intelligence tools, will say, okay, I understand that there may be some research out there, but is that research applicable to me? And so we see a lot of people using tools like that to ask questions. I think, any patient who's considering have a procedure done needs to understand what are the contraindications or what are the reasons that someone would medically not be safe to have a procedure done, number one. Number two, to figure out if their diagnosis is correct. And number three, I think a lot of people will want to know, how much pain is associated with it? What is the cost of a procedure? Is the doctor that I'm going to see to talk about it, going to listen to me and sort of understand what my goals are as an individual and as a person? And so I think those are the questions most people should be asking.
All right, Dr. Trevor Turner, an orthopedics doctor, delivering us some updates and exciting updates in the way that some pretty common ailments may be getting treated and better treated as we move into the future. Doctor, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
All right, and we are going to turn now in a moment to our Doug Richards, who is bringing us an update on, as we talk about technology. This is a different kind of technology, but as we talk about, and as our state legislators talk about the impact, the usage, sometimes the guardrails of the usage of artificial intelligence, the use of AI. There have been a slew of AI-related bills introduced in this latest session of the Georgia State Legislature. We are now many weeks into. We're approaching the halfway point in just a couple weeks, in fact. Our Doug Richards has joined us now, and I believe, as I look to my left, there he is. Doug, it's always good to have you in here.
Zach, hi.
With the jacket on today, too.
Well,
You're outclassing me. You look nice.
Oh, you're very kind. Want to hear about my orthopedic appointment?
Maybe, do you have one?
No.
Okay,
Yes,
well.
no, I had one last week, and no surgery was performed.
We're happy to see you up and about. Let's talk AI, because hopefully AI is not performing any of the orthopedic procedures on you. We would hope. I don't think it's there yet. Doug, we've got a lot of AI bills that are coming down the lane under the Gold Dome. There's one in particular that you have been paying attention to today, right?
Yes, that's true. It got a hearing in the House of Representatives this morning, and it's a bill that basically protects the image, likeness, and work of individuals who actually create the stuff with their hands and their brains and their computers and whatnot, as opposed to the stuff that AI seems to create out of sort of whole cloth. Is that what they use in AI? I'm not sure what they use.
Maybe whole bits, whole ones and zeros, binary. What would the protection look like? I mean, the idea of protection is sometimes a word that lawmakers throw around a lot, and then when you drill down into it, it can take many different forms of what the enforcement mechanisms are to prevent the behavior that's trying to be banned.
Well,
How would this bill work?
Well, one of the things that struck me about this one was that it seems to give a fair amount of leeway to creators of AI who infringe on somebody. So, for example, if they were to, say you were a singer and they took your singing voice and they put it on their little song and made it sound like you, but it was really an AI voice. If you could find that actionable, and you could sort of request a cease and desist, and the bill would not turn the person who made the AI into a criminal automatically. It would allow them to yield, gracefully and sort of withdraw the AI if somebody claims a copyright infringement, I guess, is kind of what we're talking about.
So this is creating a private right of action for the aggrieved party to go to court and say, hey, look, you are in violation of this piece of Georgia law, if it ends up being enacted as law, and it gives you as the aggrieved party a mechanism to try to get that AI recreation, facsimile of you, your work, your likeness, taken down, removed.
And what it also does is it lets the AI specialist or whatever who appropriated the material to not necessarily be punished automatically, but rather to give them, a way out, so that it doesn't dissuade them from using their AI genius to continue to make stuff that maybe does not infringe on people's personal stuff.
Two last questions for you here, Doug, and unfortunately I've got to keep them short, so I will do my best to not give you too long of a lead up here. When we talk about issues under the Gold Dome, when we talk about bills, the question is always who is backing it and do they have the votes to get it over the finish line. Artificial intelligence seems to be the kind of topic that can cut both ways when you look at the Republican and Democratic divide. Who's lining up behind this bill?
It's very refreshing to see Democrats and Republicans kind of asking the same questions and seeming to come at it from the same perspective, and they seem to be doing that on this. One of the main sponsor of the bill that we covered today is a woman named Sue Hong, who was one of Governor Kemp's floor leaders. She's not anymore, but she's part of the leadership in the House of Representatives, and she's I think she's an attorney. She's a thoughtful character, and the folks who were asking questions during the hearing also asked thoughtful and party neutral questions.
We are in a campaign year right now. We're in a big midterm year right now. I know in the past there have been some efforts to get some bills introduced that would bar the use of AI in campaign materials. Mm-hmm. Is that something we may see resurrected this session?
My guess is no, but we know that Representative Mike Collins produced a piece that mimicked John Ossoff's voice and image, and a lot of people were outraged about it. I think, if a bill like this were to pass, Mike Collins would have been under an obligation to take it down. He's not under an obligation to take that down now, apparently. So it would, yes, it would do something like that.
Something we will be watching. And the Collins campaign, when we talked to them after that, they defended the usage. They said this is the new frontier of campaigning. That was their take on all of this.
Yeah.
We may see more ads and more campaigning material deploying this new technology as we head up into the May primary that's coming up.
They claimed truthfulness too, that it truthfully portrayed what Ossoff's position was.
A theme, AI. If you haven't heard of it, this artificial intelligence thing, it's something worth paying attention to. It's going to play a big role in our lives and a big role under the Gold Dome. Doug Richard, we know you're going to be on top of it. Thank you, sir. We're going to go to a quick break. We'll be right back after this. As we continue our coverage of Black History Month, we have, and I feel like I say this every time we introduce Danielle Nottingham, so Danielle, welcome. But we have another great Danielle Nottingham piece bringing us the history and the spirit of a really unique vantage point on this month of reflection, Danielle. This is a really cool story you're bringing us.
Yeah, and at first, I didn't quite think of billing it as a Black History Month story, but when you think about it, it's very local. It's about this woman who used to be a detective with the city of Atlanta. She worked there for 21 years, and she started collecting photos, newspaper clippings, magazines. It started from one when Obama was running for president, and almost 20 years later here, it covers 3 rooms in her house.
Physical newspaper clippings, pictures. We're talking about physical, tangible. You can hold it and see
Yeah.
it and touch it in your hands.
Absolutely. And so I spoke to her and her daughter in Southwest Atlanta. So let's take a look at the story. Inside this home in Southwest Atlanta,
Watch your step.
history doesn't sit quietly on a shelf.
This room was just a blank canvas. I had nothing in this in the garage. I would buy those. I think they were like $1 a piece. Malcolm's ex-wife.
It covers the walls and ceilings of retired Atlanta detective
Yeah, you see this one, same boat.
Fitzgerald Lewis's garage.
I started with Barack Obama in 2007.
And almost 2 decades
I
later,
don't know where I got the picture from.
it continues to grow
Joe Biden?
with her daughter Nataya by her side.
Well, since we on television with news, we decided to wear our newspaper pants.
Thousands and thousands of clippings and photos of entertainers,
I love this.
civil rights figures, and family stretch across 3 rooms. Even after publications like Jet Magazine and the AJC went digital, she kept going.
I wanted to preserve and to be able to come in this room or come in the other room or go in the garage and see my family and friends. I can get up in the middle of the night and look for somebody on the wall, and they're there.
You can't erase it. There is no eraser big enough. You can't do anything to undo what has been done. And she's placed it in such a way that it's beyond a capsule. It's beyond. You can't put it in the ground. You can't tear it up. You can't. Well, you literally have to digest it.
I have a lot of movie stars here.
Lewis says
You
this
got
is
Nick
her
Gregory.
legacy to pass on to her grandchildren.
Jesse Jackson. He played basketball with my son at Greenboro Mall.
Their own museum of Black history that will keep growing.
I will find somewhere to put a picture. I have several now I need to put up. And I'll find somewhere to put it right here with my cousin Brenda.
At a time when some history feels hard to find,
Bishop Dale Bronner.
all you have to do here is step inside a garage.
I love that picture there.
In Southwest Atlanta, Danielle Nottingham, 11Alive News.
What a cool story, Danielle. I mean, you just smile as you watch it. And as this was described in our notes when I walked in, it was described as a time capsule. And I talked to our producer and I said, a time capsule story? What? But that's what it is when you look at that.
Yeah, it's really funny because she was like, it just started with this one photo I wanted to put up, and when you go in there, it's so neatly done too. It's not like she just threw things on the wall. Everything has its place, but it was really something she says that she wants to pass on to her children, other families. She encourages them to do it because she says, all I have to do is go in there and I want to think of what happened 10 years ago. I can find the picture on the wall. And, at a time when a lot of spaces are losing exhibits and people are questioning what is history and where it is, they have their own history there. So you want to see when the Barack Obama was elected, do you want to see, it was funny, we filmed this story before Jesse Jackson's passing, but she brought up that her grandson, her son was playing basketball with Jesse Jackson at the Greenbrier Mall. So it's like those little pieces of history live within that space, and they invite people in. They have parties. She has a big backyard, like with DJs. So it's really like a community event. And she actually was inviting everyone to come. And I'm like, don't say that on TV. Don't invite everybody.
People are going to
to your
start
house.
showing up.
But
You
she was
say it
like,
on
"I
streaming
wanna-"
here. Who knows who's watching?
Yeah, she was like, oh, come on in, come on in.
And you watch, I have no question. I'm sure if people showed up, she would be very welcoming and bring them on in. One of the coolest things about that piece, Danielle, too, is when you talk about history, I think the misconception sometimes is people can feel like history is over there and then I am here. Like there's this barrier. But we are all a part of history. And when you looked at those photos, you could see it wasn't just luminaries. It wasn't just people who were in the history books. It was her family interacting with those folks and her family having moments to remember as well, all interwoven in a way that made history feel really approachable and personal.
Yeah, that's very well put, because a lot of those photos are of family, friends, and if you think about your family and friends and you think about that great vacation you went on or that time you guys were all together, you can walk into a room and you just see those photos. And I found myself looking around. I just started staring. And that's what you do. You look and you start reminiscing and you start looking for things. Like that one photo of Lane Bryant there, it seems like it's really random. But she was like, I saw that photo, and she was like, that was the first time I saw a plus-size model in a magazine who was African American. And she was like, I needed to cut it out and put it up there. And so there is a reason behind it. I asked her if it was because of her background as a detective. I was like, this feels kind of like, like a CSI episode or something where they put that stuff on the wall and people,
Sure.
so you can see what's going on. And she's like, yeah, maybe that has a little bit to do with it.
We talk about history and it being personal. Everybody's story and their full whole selves go into how they feel history. And her background as a detective, she's still doing detective work a little bit. It's just pointed at the historic record as opposed to, perhaps a crime scene. Danielle, awesome story. What a great perspective, and what a really neat mom and daughter duo there. Thank you for introducing us to both of them.
I'm sure we can get you an outfit like that too if you'd like it.
Maybe we can do it together. Next time you come in, we'll do the matching.
Okay, I'll work on the newspaper leggings.
News pants. Who could say no to that? Danielle Nottingham, as always, a treat to have you in here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're going to go to a quick break. We will be right back. Right now, Georgia's state election board is meeting for the first time since the FBI executed a search warrant at the Fulton County election hub a few weeks ago. Our Galat Malamed has been inside the meeting, has been following along for all of the updates. Galat, we're going to turn to you now. What is going on inside this meeting room, and specifically, has the board, the election board, discussed the FBI raid at all yet?
Zach, it's quite a long meeting, often, as you know, a lengthy agenda. So far they haven't specifically done any agenda items related to that FBI raid, but there are Fulton County agenda items still to come. Those items include looking into poll worker misconduct in the November 2020 election, double voting, voter fraud, and an update on a subpoena for 2020 election documents and ballots from Fulton County. The state election board first issued 2 subpoenas to Fulton County for 2020 election materials in November 2024. So far, we are not aware of the board receiving those documents. Now, of course, many documents from that 2020 election have been seized by the FBI. Last week, we also learned from digging into the FBI affidavit in the Fulton County election hub raid that 2 state election board members are listed as witnesses in the affidavit. Those members are Janelle King and Dr. Janice W. Johnston, and we will be here all afternoon monitoring this meeting. Keep you guys updated both on this stream and later on in the afternoon on air. Live in Barrow County, Galat Malamed, 11Alive News.
Galat, we appreciate it, and you are very right. Those meetings can take many hours. We know you are going to be on top of it as long as it takes in this important meeting, the first one after that FBI search warrant. Galat Malamed, thank you for your time. We'll check back in with you shortly. We're going to go right now to a short break, and we will be right back with much more in just 2 minutes. The third day of the trial of Colin Gray is now underway. It's been underway for several hours now as jurors continue to hear testimony in this trial of the father of the accused Appalachia High School shooter. Both the father and the son, the accused shooter, have been charged in connection with the shooting. Both have pleaded not guilty. Colin Gray facing a litany of charges, 29 counts, including 2 counts of second-degree murder and 2 counts of involuntary manslaughter. It is what is known in legal circles as a case of first impression. A Georgia jury has never before been tasked with answering the question of whether the parent of an accused school shooter should face criminal responsibility. It will be up to the jury to determine whether they agree with the prosecution's allegation that, at its heart, alleges that Colin Gray bears criminal responsibility for providing his son access to the firearm allegedly used in the shooting. This is a trial we expect will take several weeks. It is ongoing right now inside of the Barrow County Superior Court, and jurors have been listening to, once again, another day of gut-wrenching testimony. We're going to bring you some of that testimony from earlier in the day right now. And as we go there, just a warning, as we always are going to remind you, what you may hear here could be troubling.
This is Ryan's classroom.
Are you one of the first ones there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Describe the scene of Miss Ryan's room when you arrived.
There are a bunch of bullet holes in the wall. I looked down to my right-hand side, closest to the door. I observed a human-like object laying on the ground motionless. Went and checked on him and deemed he was deceased. No amount of medical care could save him. And then there's a few other victims in that room, and then one student caught my attention and said, "She just went out, she just went out." So I went over to that student, picked her up.
Do you know now what student's name was?
Her name was Taylor Jones.
Taylor Jones?
Yes, sir.
Where was she injured at?
Now, this is live testimony, a woman on the stand right now in the third day of the trial of Colin Gray. Listening.
Can you give us an idea of the distance that Holt was from Miss Ehrman when he fired?
It would have been approximately 40 feet.
And similarly, can you tell us approximately how far Holt was when he fired towards Coach Aspinwall and Mr. Phoenix?
It would have been probably between 16 to 18 feet. Coach Aspinwall, I believe, was closer than Mr. Phoenix was.
Okay. And then just to kind of give us some context, what is the width of the hallway, like J Hall in the school?
The width of the hallways is approximately 11 feet.
11 feet wide, okay. Thank you. And now going back, we have a few more photos. We'll go to the next slide. And what does this show in 110?
This is a overall photograph of the gun and some of the items around it.
Okay. And the next slide, well, it's 111. What is that in that photo?
That's one of the magazines. There were 3 additional magazines along with the one that was in the gun for a total of 4.
Okay. And now I am going to tender into evidence. So we've got State's Exhibit 118, which is contained in the box. I believe 118 and 119 are inside of this white box. Do you want to step down and review that and identify it for us and confirm whether it appears to be in the same condition as when it was recovered? going to tell you 118 is the firearm itself. Can you identify that for the jury?
Yes, this appears to be the same gun that was collected from the crime scene.
Okay, and 119 is the other object that's contained in that box. Can you identify that?
This appears to be the gun magazine that was in the weapon.
Okay. They appear to be in substantially the same condition as when they were taken into evidence?
Yes.
Okay. And Judge, at this time we would tender State's Exhibits 118 and 119.
No, okay. All right, 118 and 119 are reviewed.
Okay, and I'm going to have you display, we'll start with the firearm itself for the jury. And has that firearm been secured? Does it have a gun lock in it and otherwise been disarmed?
Yes.
Okay. And can you now display 119, the magazine that was in the firearm at the time? All right, you can have a seat. I do have a couple other physical pieces of evidence. So I'm going to go ahead and provide you State's Exhibits 122, 123, and 124. I'm not going to take all of those out. And actually, 122, 123, and 124, we are going to have you remove those. Can you identify what they are for the jury?
Yes, 122 is the tan-colored magazine, and there was one cartridge that was in the magazine, so both items are in this bag.
Okay. And does it appear to be in substantially the same condition as when it was put into evidence?
Yes, it also has the blue firearms tape.
Okay. And likewise, can you go ahead and identify 123 and 124?
As I stated previously, there were 3 additional mags. So 122 was the tan-colored magazine at evidence marker 5. 123 is a magazine that was at the gun at evidence marker 6. And it's a black 60 capacity gun magazine, and there were 17 cartridges in that magazine.
Okay.
And then 124, as I stated previously, was also near the gun, and it is a black gun magazine, but this time it's a 30 capacity magazine, and it was full. There were 15 LC-14 cartridges and 15 of the LC-223 cartridges in that magazine.
All right. And similar to 122, to 123 and 124, with the exception of having markers from being to the GBI crime lab, do those appear to be in substantially the same condition as when they were taken into evidence?
Yes.
All right. And Judge, at this time, we would tender State's Exhibits 122, 123, and 124.
Okay. All right, 122, 123, and 124.
All right, and starting with 122,
We are watching
if I could
it
just have
live
you
as
remove
Daniela
that from
Stewart
bag
of the GBI
and, show
delivers
it to the jury.
testimony, answering questions from the prosecution in day 3 of the Colin Gray
Just the magazine,
trial.
or
Let's
also
continue to
the
listen in now.
coin envelope that has the cartridge.
We won't take the cartridges out of the coin envelope, but you can show that to the jury just so they're aware of what that is. And can you explain what's inside that envelope?
Yeah, so when we were collecting Evidence, we try to put everything in paper, and when we're collecting cartridges and cartridge cases and fragments and bullets, we tend to put them in coin envelopes. So the cartridge from this magazine is in this envelope.
Okay. Want to go on to 123? Same thing with 124. Sorry.
President, I know you all had a longer break than you anticipated previously. You've been in your seat long. I need to get you. So we're going to take a 10 or so minute break.
You have been watching in live from inside Barrow County Superior Court for the third day of the trial of Colin Gray, the father of the accused Appalachia High School shooter. Colin Gray himself also facing charges in connection to that shooting. Both Colin and his son Colt have pleaded not guilty. We were listening in to expert witness testimony from Daniela Stewart with the GBI, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. You saw her taking evidence from the prosecution as evidence was entered, as exhibits were entered into evidence, including the rifle allegedly used in the shooting. You saw Daniela Stewart there take the rifle, take a magazine of ammunition, offer her perspective on it, show it to the jury. And as we just came back into the studio here, the judge called for about a 10-minute or so break, and that has been common. We've seen that throughout the last two and now into our third day of this trial. Jurors understandably, and all those in the courtroom understandably, taking a number of breaks to, as best they can, reset after listening to and watching what has been at times tough to watch testimony and evidence, gut-wrenching at times. We're going to continue to monitor what is ongoing inside of Barrow County Courthouse there, and we are also going to warn once again, as we continue to monitor the live developments inside of the courtroom. Every time we go there, I'm going to say this every time, so forgive if it's redundant, but we're going to do so with the warning that this is live, proceeding in real time, and the contents can be troubling. We're going to do our best to handle this with delicacy and care and respect for all involved, including you if you're watching along. So with that note, we're going to take a, let's do this, Gabby. We're going to take a short break here, and we'll be right back after this. Welcome back in. It is February right now, but you would be forgiven if you thought it felt a little spring-like. To help make sense of it all, our friend meteorologist Melissa Nora joining us now. I think you used a good phrase. You said, as we were off air, you said, a taste of spring.
Yes, it's false spring.
False spring. That's another phrase we've been hearing a lot in here. But it's if it's a falsehood, it's a nice, pleasant one right now.
Nobody is mad they're being faked. They'll hate it later when it gets cold again, I think. But yeah, things have been really nice outside. We've got the clouds today, but it's like the third or fourth day in a row we're up in the 60s, and we could be closer to records by tomorrow afternoon at this time. I think Thursday is the nicest day of the week in terms of how warm it's going to be with the dry conditions in the afternoon. But we will be also tracking some rain chances on the rise as well. I want to show you a live look right now. This is our camera in Noonan, down in Coweta County. You see the cloud cover out there. What you don't see are the raindrops reaching the ground. We have been tracking a couple of very isolated showers in a few spots, like a couple sprinkles, and that's about it. We're up to 67 in Atlanta. That's about where we were yesterday at this time. Notice to our west, there are upper 70s. A lot of warmth stretches across the whole eastern half of the country. And it's no surprise that with the warmth we've seen, the trees are starting to wake up from their winter hibernation. So we actually got in a great photo yesterday of some of the redbud trees that have been blooming a little bit. Tree pollen count in the high range for the third time so far this month. 189, that pollen count today. You ever heard of a redbud winter?
You know, I can always count on you, Melissa, to ask me a question
Folklore?
I don't know the answer
Okay.
to. No, I haven't, but you know what? I'm going to learn right now, I bet.
It's like, yeah, early in the season, a redbud winter, when the redbuds start blooming because you get so warm, and then it gets cold again. Well, that's exactly what I expect to play out by the end of the weekend. There's clouds, there's a front west of us. It's not going to cool us down. It doesn't really pass through. But you see those rain chances sneaking up the next couple of days, 40% chance tomorrow, then up to a 70% chance by Saturday. And it's going to come from this weather system. Front slides in here on Friday, then it stalls out over our area for Saturday. So that leaves us with several rounds of showers, some locally heavy rain, some embedded thunderstorms within the mix as well. Friday itself, this is more garden variety nuisance in terms of the coverage area of the rain. So you can see model rainfall through Friday, generally a quarter of an inch or so. But then we go into Saturday, we see some of those higher rainfall amounts coming in. So between now and the second half of the weekend, we'll get a good ½ inch to 1.5 inches of rain. I think the rainfall amounts will widely vary, but we'll be watching that hour by hour. So here's the forecast track. We've got temperatures that are in the 60s this afternoon, right around 70 degrees. There's a couple of sprinkles out there, but it's not much. We'll start with the clouds in the morning. Then if we break into sunshine in the afternoon, we're going to be up in the 70s. So nice outside tomorrow. We get into Friday. Here come your scattered showers. It's garden variety, maybe a rumble of thunder in there. And then by Saturday morning, some areas of heavy rain work back over the area as the front is stalled right over us. So here comes our redbud winter. Got spring-like warmth for now. Look at the temperature pattern by, if my clicker will work.
It can just stay when it's warm. If it just wants to stall out there, we can live with that.
I will put in the request. I'm not sure if it's possible, but I'll put it in.
The redbud winter is coming for us.
It is. Don't plant your sensitive blooms yet. I've been so tempted to do so, but you don't want to do so until at least April 1st. Tax day is the better day to use as a reference point, and this will show you what I mean by that.
Oh, there it is.
76 tomorrow, 75 on Friday. As the front clears out, the cold comes back in. We are in the 50s on Sunday during the afternoon. Monday morning, back below the freezing mark in most of North Georgia. 40s Monday afternoon as opposed to the upper 70s. It could feel Monday morning down in the low 20s versus the mid 70s where we are now. I don't know. That's like a 50-degree spread in what it's going to feel like at the next 5 days. Hashtag Georgia.
Hashtag Georgia. You know, it's funny. Every time I see the pollen count graphic, I think it's somewhere down at the bottom. It's something like provided by Asthma and Allergy Center of something or other.
Oh, yes.
And as somebody who moved to Georgia a long time ago who has asthma, I remember getting down here and being like, why am I coughing so much and sneezing so much? The pollen, it turns out, if you can see it with the naked eye, there's a lot of it here.
And when you move away and you come back, you're re-exposed to it, so it gets worse. So I had the same problem.
Yeah, because you've done the same thing, right?
Yep, came back, and then it's all the different pollens here, the hardwoods especially, that get you every year.
And the Redbuds, too. I know that's Redbud winter. But you got to look
Redbuds
out for the Redbud winter.
They're not too bad. I will say, though, Atlanta Allergy and Asthma, they're the official, like, counter for the
That's
Atlanta
what I was.
area.
That was what I was not very artfully trying to say there.
No, it's okay. We put the courtesy on there so everybody knows where the data is coming from. It's not just coming from some arbitrary AI model. They're
Yep.
actual counts they do each and every day. And when it gets to peak of pollen season, they're every single morning, 7 days a week, through the whole month, they're up there counting the pollen grains.
And at the peak of pollen season, they have a lot to be counting.
Yes, they do.
All right, Melissa Nord, we appreciate it as always. We're going to make the best of this Redbud winter.
Sure.
We'll see you in a little bit. We're going to turn now. We're going to shift gears to a story we have been following all day long and all week long. We're going to take you back now to Barrow County, where it is day 3 in the trial of Colin Gray, the father of the accused Appalachia high school shooter. Colin Gray, also charged in connection with that fatal shooting. He has pleaded not guilty, along with his son. Our Grace King has been inside the courtroom, where we were just listening in live to testimony from Daniela Stewart with the GBI. The court went on recess. Grace, what did Daniela Stewart with the GBI tell the jury, and what kind of questions was the state asking her on the witness stand?
Well, Daniela Stewart is one of the people that helped process and photograph the crime scene. So she was just walking through what the GBI does, how they look at crime scenes, and what they did to make sure they documented each part of it. So she took us, down a recreation of J Hall, which is where the shooting predominantly took place, and then inside some of the classrooms. I want you to take a look at some of this video that she shared with us, just photos of just the bullet holes. Predominantly, all of these photos are from Miss Ryan's classroom. That's where many of those shot during the shooting were in there. Colt was able to access that classroom. You can see there's bullet holes in the desk, in the whiteboard, on the floorboards, just kind of everywhere over there. One kid in that classroom died. Several others were wounded. That's where a lot of this took place, but she was just walking them through kind of, again, her process and documenting the different evidence that they had. We also earlier heard a lot of testimony from some of the SROs and deputies about how they responded to this shooting.
And Grace, we have been following along live intermittently throughout the day here on 11Alive Plus, and we know some others have been following continuously because we have another live feed of the full court feed going right now. Grace, there was a lot of really tough to see imagery, crime scene photos presented in court. We have not shown that here out of respect for, obviously, all those who are personally connected with what happened. We're talking about kids here. But while you're in the courtroom, the gallery is seeing that, the jury is seeing that. Can you describe how the folks in the courtroom are getting through a day like this?
A lot of the jurors are just looking away. Obviously, they're the ones at the end of the day who will try this case, but they're all people too, and they're looking at it and just having a really hard time processing it, knowing how many lives were lost that day, how many lives were forever changed. Some of the photos are just extremely graphic. You can just see kind of the pools of blood there in different hallways. And again, this is not, somewhere random. This is a school hallway. So you see the desks, you see the birthday cards, the poster boards. One girl yesterday, she testified that she was just crocheting in class because that's how she kind of kept her mind sitting. And you could see just her yarn next to some of these shell casings and whatnot. So it's just hard for everyone to kind of put all those pieces together and be like, she dropped that, she was shot, now she can't use her hands anymore, do any of those fine motor skills. And there's her, last ball of yarn just kind of sitting there. And a lot of the jurors are just struggling to look at that. Some of the family members have, of course, left the courtroom because it's just so hard to look at. But it's tough. It's tough in there for everyone.
And Grace, we know, and we've seen you do this over the last many days here, that you are treating all of this with a great deal of respect for everybody who is in there, and it shows, and we appreciate that. I want to ask you one last question. I understand you have some remarks from one person who was on the witness stand teed up for us. I wonder if you can introduce that, tell us who we're going to hear from, and then we will play part of that testimony.
Well, this morning, the defense was really asking a lot of questions about how the school received its first warning at 8:46 from Colt's first period teacher saying, I think he might have something. He's asking about active shooter drills. I'm really worried. The shooting, of course, took place about an hour and a half later, 10:22. So this morning, the defense attorneys just kept asking the assistant principal, did you have a description of him? What were you doing? And just pressing her to see if there was more the school could have done. So take a listen.
You knew that you were looking for something heavy with a poster board coming out.
Correct.
Correct. I assume you got, since she was concerned, she knew what Colt Gray looked like.
Correct.
Did she give you a description of him?
No.
Did you ask her?
No.
Okay. Did you ultimately find out he was white male?
Yes.
Okay. Had long blonde hair?
No.
Okay. You didn't find that out later?
No.
Okay. Did you take Miss Harris with you when you went down to the classroom to look?
No.
So he had been missing then for 32 minutes, correct?
Correct.
All right. Thank you.
Had of Colt Gray was from 4th grade when he had short brown hair. Of course, when they arrested him, he had long blonde hair, and they just didn't know what he looked like, didn't know who he was. He'd only attended 5 days of school at that point and just really struggled to find him, unfortunately, until those shots started.
Another really tough day inside of this courtroom as jurors listen to this testimony, and ultimately, Grace, as you have rightly stated, it will be up to them to determine whether to convict or acquit in this case, the first of its kind here in Georgia. Our Grace King live outside the Barrow County Superior Court. Grace, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you in a little bit. As Grace has pointed out, and as we have seen together, as we've listened in live, there over the last few days has been a great deal of testimony from the young men and women, the students who were inside of Appalachia High School the day of that shooting back in 2024. Some of them from the witness stand recounting the terrible events of that day and how the impacts, even for the survivors, have lingered all the way up to the current day. Let's listen to some of that testimony.
Okay. How has this affected you mentally and emotionally since this happened?
I'm very paranoid. I don't like being in front of the doors at school. I don't use the bathroom at school. I always stay with somebody very closely. After the incident happened a couple months after, I had nightmares, mostly every night. I say I became kind of more distant from my friends, and I kind of became more depressed and sometimes wanted to harm myself.
We keep using the phrase gut-wrenching because that's just what it is. To listen to a young person recount those experiences and how what they saw and endured altered the path of their life. And a note here too, you obviously couldn't see the face of that young person who was testifying out of respect not only for the judge's order in this case, but also for the young people who are on the stand. We are not showing the faces of the young men and women who were students at the time of the shooting who are testifying now in court in day 3 at this point of the trial of Colin Gray. One of the questions that this raises, of course, is if you are a parent, if you are the loved one of a young person who endured something like this, or somebody who didn't but is a young person at school, somewhere, anywhere else, who has seen the aftermath of this school shooting and regrettably so many others in our country in the last number of years. How do you talk to your kids about it? How do you help them process as best they can? How do you try to make sense of this and help them still live productive and happy lives as a family and as an individual who's trying to grow up the best they can in this world? We're going to turn now to somebody who has some experience with those kind of conversations. This is Dr. Rachel Scheinfield. She offers therapy for children, teens, and families. Doctor, we know it's a heavy topic, but we're very grateful that you're making the time to talk to us. If I could ask this question right off the top, what advice do you give to families to have a conversation as maybe their children, their loved ones, are watching this trial unfold and hearing that gut-wrenching testimony from some of these young people who were inside of the school?
Hi, thank you for having me. And certainly, this is a very heavy topic indeed. And, I think it isn't unusual for when this testimony is coming about into the surface that people are having reactivated trauma. That level of grief and fear and shock and hopelessness, that they just continue to experience even after a period of time. And it's really important that parents are able to provide the level of support and school systems support their child, that this is a very normal response, ensuring that they're safe, ensuring that it's absolutely normal to experience these types of feelings after witnessing such a traumatic event.
And for somebody who is a parent and maybe wants to broach the subject with their child who is a student at another school district somewhere in Georgia or even somewhere else in the country, but they've been following along. This has been on social media, it's on the news, it's on the internet. This is, like so many other school shootings, something that kids are keenly aware of. What steps would you advise a parent to take to open that conversation up, to maybe say, hey, I know you're probably hearing about this. Are you okay? What can I do to be there for you? How do you start that conversation as a parent?
Yeah, it is a concern for parents to kind of be delicate and tread this lightly, but also it's important that they are honest and authentic as well. So I think, like I said, normalizing the range of emotions that they may experience, but also offering any questions that they might have, being able to answer those very openly and honestly, but also briefly. We want to make sure that we're not providing too much information, but also being honest at the same time. It's also important to be able to say, what exposure they have to some of this information. What have they seen? What do they know about this? What have their friends been telling them? What have they heard? And make sure that they clarify any misinformation that's going out there. A lot of times things get lost in the shuffle and the information doesn't tend to be accurate. Also, it's really important as a parent, to reassure the children that there's stability and there's safety. And no matter what, even after going through such a horrendous experience, it's really important to say that they are safe and we are here for you. And as a community and larger, that we're leaning into compassion here. And what can we do to support one another, including friends and the larger community, can often be a helpful way for children to cope with such a traumatic event.
And we know that the Barrow County community, the Appalachia community, has wrapped its arms around these kids who went through the unspeakable just about a year and a half ago inside of Appalachia High School. But for other students, for other young people out there, we've talked about the parental side of this conversation. But what advice would you have for other students, other young people who are growing up at a time when lockdown drills have become a routine part of being a student in America, and who see this trial unfolding, who maybe feel some anxiety, maybe feel some fear? What advice would you give to them about how to make sense of all this and cope as best they can?
Yeah, well, when a tragedy affects the school community, it certainly has a ripple effect across, many areas, including, it's a national topic, and it's an unfortunate one at this point in time, especially in young children's lives. I really think I always encourage kids to ask questions, to be able to find that designated individual that they feel like they can trust, whether it is a parent, it's an outside provider, a pediatrician, a psychologist, a teacher, somebody in their, a church community, or anyone else that they feel that they can go to. I also feel that if they're anxiety about this, or they tend to have a lot of what we call intrusive thoughts, where there's a lot of ruminating, their fixation on some of these topics, there's a lot of fear about the what ifs. And I think that's important for them to be able to talk to somebody about that, because this is real. And unfortunately, this is their reality these days. And I think for them to know, one, where safety exists, and also, what are the things in place within their schools, within their day-to-day lives, that offers that level of stability and security, because that's important for them to know. Because I do see day in and day out, this is bound to happen to me sometime. That's what I hear all the time. And we certainly want to be honest with kids, but we also want them to feel that they have a level of stability and security around them.
Doctor, you just said something there I want to dwell on for a moment. you just said you hear young people coming into your office talking to you and saying they feel like this is something that is going to happen to them. Do you hear that often from young people?
I often hear that children are incredibly fearful of something, in their words, something bad happening in their school. They are very accustomed to lockdown drills at this point in time. It's no longer the standard tornado drills, preparing for weather, fire drills, and so on. They are prepared for lockdown drills and sometimes wondering, is this going to happen? That's no longer a drill and it's going to happen in real time. What does that mean? Who do I call? I have a lot of patients who experience a lot of anxiety about something bad happening to them, and some of it as a result of a lockdown drill. They are notified that it is a drill in their schools. That is something that all schools practice. However, it does ignite a lot of fear in many of these children and is unfortunately reinforced when they hear about an event happening in the larger community or in the national news about a school shooting and wondering, when is it going to be our time? I certainly hope that isn't. And as a psychologist, I absolutely hope that's never the case for any of them. But unfortunately, with the statistics that are shown, their fears make a lot of sense. And we have to do our best from an outside standpoint as an outside professional, but also in communities and school settings to do everything in our power to ensure that we can do whatever we can to pick up on any warning signs or things that are going on that may suggest that there's some level of unsafe, they're not safe there. We hope that's not the case. We hope it doesn't reach that point in time, but hopefully we're able to continue to build mental health awareness and provide support for those who really need it, especially at a young age.
And Doctor, we really appreciate your perspective on all this. One last question for you, because I would be remiss if we didn't bring up this element of the conversation as well. We've talked about parents, we've talked about the students. Teachers are also a part of this conversation. They are in the schools day in and day out. They're the ones who are training to handle the lockdown drills. They're leading their classrooms through these drills. God forbid, they're leading their classrooms through actual lockdowns when the worst occurs. What would you tell them? What advice would you give them and maybe give school systems as a whole to support the teachers in our school systems as best as possible, as they surely are grappling with a lot of really tough emotions right now too?
Yeah, that's a great question. Teachers are phenomenal in so many areas, and there's such an expectation that they have to be the jack of all trades and handle it all. And as you said, it is unfortunate that this is something that they have to try to be prepared for and be able to handle. And there's the teachers out there, and so many of them that I've worked with over the years are so talented in so many ways. And I truly believe that they have genuine care for their students and show such a wonderful way of being able to provide emotional support. And they need support as well individually. So I think for them to band together with other teachers and make sure that they are able to express openly how they feel, talk about any concerns they have about any safety measures that are taking place in their school. How are they handling any exposure to traumatic events that they may have seen in the past, and just their ongoing worry about safety and what they're doing for that. And also just having open conversations one-on-one with teachers and teacher to teacher, but also class-wide as it presents itself. I think the biggest thing is to really focus on having authenticity and openness in a way that's appropriate for people to be able to talk about it and not it to be living in fear where they don't feel like it's okay to talk about it. It's a scary topic. It triggers a lot of different emotions and it makes sense, but it also is really important that people understand these emotional reactions are normal, and it's okay to experience it as hard as they are. And we need to continue the conversation about these very difficult things and continue to move forward and how we can help each other and stand together and offering that support, and especially offering mental health support and advocacy for those who truly need it, picking up on those warning signs, not waiting until it's hopefully not too late.
Doctor, we appreciate your perspective and you sharing your time to have this tough but important conversation. Dr. Rachel Scheinfeld, psychologist, licensed clinical psychologist. We appreciate your time and grateful for your perspective. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. We're going to turn now to return to inside the courtroom in Barrow County. Day 3 of the trial of Colin Gray continues. You're seeing Daniela Stewart, who is with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. We're going to listen in right now as she continues to testify from the stand.
Proximity.
Correct.
All right. I think that's all I have. Thank you, Judge.
Yes, sir. Can you redirect?
No, sir.
All right, thank you, ma'am. You're free to go.
Thank you.
Brooks, if you want to take the two and put it on the table. Thank you. Any other evidence there? Yes, sir. All right, state and calls next witness.
State called Sarah Van Holm.
And we are watching right alongside of you. This is a live feed from inside the courtroom on day 3 of Colin Gray's trial. He is the father of the accused Appalachian High School shooter. We just saw Daniela Stewart from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation be dismissed as a witness.
Do you swear or affirm any testimony you're about to give in the matter now pending before the court is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, and if you want to start just by introducing yourself to the jury, I'll have you spell your last name for the court reporter.
Yes, my name is Sarah with an H, and last name is Van Holm. That's 2 words, Vanholm.
All right, and tell us about your occupation.
So I am a firearms examiner with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation.
Okay, and how long have you been at the GBI?
Since July of 2017, so about 8.5 years.
All right, and talk us through kind of your educational background and training that's led you to this position.
So I have a bachelor's degree in biology from the University of North Georgia. Prior to being employed with the GBI, I was an operations manager for a small firearms manufacturing company. I was a certified firearms instructor, and I was also a sponsored competitive shooter. Upon being employed with the GBI, I completed a 14-month training program to become a firearms examiner, and then that was followed by 7 months of supervised casework. I have been certified as an armor for multiple firearms manufacturers. I have attended multiple conferences and conventions that are firearms and firearms examiner related. And I also a member and have just been certified as a firearms examiner through the Association of Firearm and Tool Mark Examiners.
Okay, and as a firearms examiner at the GBI, what does your job generally look like?
So primarily we determine if a bullet or a cartridge case was fired from a particular firearm or not. If no firearm was submitted, we can determine if a group of bullets or a group of cartridge cases was fired from the same firearm and potentially give a list of manufacturers in which they were fired from.
All right, and have you previously testified as an expert in the field of firearms science and firearms examination?
Yes, I have.
Approximately how many times?
I think it's just under 90.
Okay, and in what courts have you testified?
Many courts across the state of Georgia.
All right. And Judge, at this time, I would tender Sarah Van Holm as an expert in the field of firearms science and firearms examination.
Well, she did like that she's an expert in firearms. Should be so qualified.
All right. So before we get into the evidence specific in this case, I want to talk through some terms we may be referencing. Let's start generally with just what is a cartridge and how does that pertain to what you do?
So as firearms examiners, what we are looking at are the repeating patterns of markings that are formed during the manufacturing process of a firearm that are then imparted on the different components of a cartridge during the firing process of that firearm. So a cartridge is a single unit of unfired ammunition. I have a demonstrative as well, if that's acceptable.
Any objection?
No problem.
Okay. A cartridge is a single unit of unfired ammunition, and it is composed of 4 main parts. Your main housing being what we call a cartridge case, sometimes referred to as a shell casing. It's a cylindrical metallic component with an open mouth. Well, inside that open mouth is going to be your projectile or your bullet. Inside of that cartridge case is going to be your gunpowder. And then on the base of that cartridge case is going to be what's called a primer. Kind of looks like a button. When the trigger is pulled on a firearm, it releases what's called a firing pin. That firing pin actually dimples that primer at a high velocity and creates a spark inside of this cartridge. That ignites that gunpowder and creates a rapid gas expansion or a combustion. And what that does is it actually dislodges this projectile from the mouth of the cartridge case and sends it traveling down the barrel of the firearm, where this projectile is going to pick up markings from the rifling of that barrel. Well, because of equal and opposite reactions, as it's pushing this bullet down the barrel of the firearm, this cartridge case is also slamming into the bolt or breech face of the firearm, expanding slightly inside the chamber of the firearm, and then depending on what type of firearm it is, it's being extracted and kicked out of the firearm as well. So all of these interactions with the gun are what we are able to look at as firearms examiners to compare and determine if that cartridge case or that projectile was fired from a particular firearm or not.
Thank you so much. And to just kind of reconcile that with some words that we might hear regularly and some words we might use today, in relation to what we're talking about, can you just explain what a bullet is and what a bullet jacket is?
Yes. So a bullet I kind of like to describe as like an M&M or a chocolate-covered kind of candy with that hard outside and a kind of softer middle. So bullets typically are going to be copper jacketed with a soft lead inside.
Okay. And shifting to this case specifically, were you involved in the firearm and bullet analysis in the case involving Colt Gray?
Yes, I was.
Okay. And I'm going to show you it's been marked as States Exhibits 125.1 through 125.4. And can you just review these, identify them, tell us what they are and if they're fair and accurate copies of those?
Yes, these are the reports I created for this case.
Okay. And we've got 4 reports. Are those in relation to different victims?
Yes.
Okay. And can you tell us which victims are associated with those reports?
Yes, so States Exhibit 125.1 is the report for that contains the victim Anna Christina Ermi. I apologize for the names.
You're fine.
States Exhibit 125.2 is for the victim Christian Angulo. 125.3 is for Mason Skirmerhorn. And then 125.4 is for Richard Aspinwall.
All right. And Judge, at this time we would tender States Exhibits 125.1 through 125.4 into evidence.
We don't have any objection to her testifying about it, but that's not something that will go to the jury.
All right. 121.1 through 4 are admitted into evidence, and we'll take that up later.
Okay, and you can use those for your reference throughout your testimony as needed. I'm going to turn your attention back to October 4th of 2024. Were you employed at the GBI Crime Lab on that date?
Yes, I was.
And on that day, did you examine a firearm that you received from Region 11 of the GBI?
Yes, I received evidence from Region 11.
Okay, and when was that firearm received by the Crime Lab from Region 11?
The firearm was received on September 11th, 2024.
And who requested examination?
GBI Region 11.
Okay. Did you also receive magazines, cartridges, cartridge cases, bullet fragments, and bullet jacket fragments, all in relation to this case?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And what sort of examination was requested?
So it was requested that I look at the projectiles from the autopsies and the cartridge cases I received and determine if the firearm I received fired them.
Okay. And were the different bullets and bullet jacket fragments associated with specific victims in this case?
The projectiles were, yes.
Thank you. And so I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibits 197, 198, and 199. And can you just identify what these are?
So State's Exhibit 197 are the autopsy projectiles from Mason Skirmerhorn. State's Exhibit 198 are the autopsy projectiles from Richard Aspinwall. And State's Exhibit 199 are the projectiles from autopsy from Christian Angula.
Okay, and are these all some of the fragments that were provided to you to examine in this case?
Yes.
All right, and do they include ones that you were able to compare to the gun?
Some of them were, yes.
Okay, and do they appear to be in the same condition as when they were tested?
Yes, they do.
Are your initials also on boxes containing the evidence?
Yes, they are, as well as the seal.
Okay, and so Judge, at this time, we are going to tender States 197 recovered from Mason, 198 recovered from Coach Aspinwall, and 199 recovered from Christian.
You go, Jack. All right, 197, 89.
All right, so what did you do with the evidence once you received it?
So when I received the evidence, I sorted the evidence based on what we call class characteristics, and those are going to be characteristics that are indicative of the design of the firearm. So we want to make sure that the evidence is agreeing with the firearm that we've received. If it is agreeing with it, then we will test fire that firearm and then compare those ammunition components to what we received as evidence.
Okay. Now, in this case, were there types of fragments that you couldn't compare?
Yes, there were some fragments we could not compare.
Okay, and what would be some reasons that you wouldn't be able to do that?
So when a projectile hits an object, it can break into different pieces. So it may not have any rifling on it once it breaks into those fragments. And then also there were some lead fragments as well, so that's going to be the inside of the projectile, so that just has no information for us.
Okay. And I want to go through some of what you were able to compare to a gun. I guess we can start with regarding Mason.
Yes, for Mason, I was able to compare a .223 bullet and bullet jacket fragment, and that was it.
Okay. And what about for Coach Aspinwall?
Coach Aspinwall was a .223 bullet and bullet jacket fragment and an additional .223 projectile bullet.
Okay. And for Christian?
Christian was a .223 projectile.
Okay. Now I'm going to have you retrieve what's previously been tendered into evidence as State's Exhibit 118. If you want to step down and come get this. And again, this has been secured and has a gun lock on it.
Yes, so for the court it is empty.
And so is this the firearm that was provided to you in relation to this case?
Yes.
Okay. And tell us what you're checking to see about that.
I am checking for my initials and also the serial number as well.
Okay. Is this also the firearm that matched the bullets and fragments that you tested that you previously referenced?
Yes.
Okay. And can you read the serial number on that firearm just for the record? I know the lighting in here is not the best.
Yes, it's 20 L as in Lima 185839.
Okay. And what kind of gun is this?
This is an AR-15 style semi-automatic rifle.
Okay. And talk to us a little bit about the characteristics of this weapon.
So characteristically, this is again, a semi-automatic, but it's a rotating bolt gas impingement type firearm.
Okay. And approximately how much would this kind of weapon cost?
This brand is probably going to be, I mean, obviously there's factors, but it's going to be around probably $1,000.
Okay. What's the trigger weight of this firearm?
So I did perform trigger pulls on this firearm. We take 3 trigger pulls and then take an average of those, and it was 7.25.
Okay, and for
pounds.
someone who might not know what that means, can you explain what that is?
Yeah, 7.25 pounds, which is essentially the amount of force it takes for this firearm to discharge when pulling the trigger.
Okay. And can you give us kind of something of an analogous weight to sort of quantify what that would feel like?
Yeah, so like a gallon of milk is about 8 pounds.
Okay. And is that a typical trigger pull for this type of gun?
It's not abnormal.
Okay. You testified this was a semi-automatic rifle. Can you explain what that means?
Yeah, so semi-automatic essentially means this firearm will fire 1 cartridge per pull of the trigger. So when this trigger is pulled, a projectile will travel down the barrel of the firearm. That bolt will cycle, which means that it will move rearward. When that bolt moves rearward, it's actually going to extract a cartridge case from the chamber of this firearm and eject that cartridge case from the firearm. Well, as that bolt moves back forward, it's going to load another cartridge into the chamber, at which case it's ready to be fired again. So 1 trigger pull is 1 cartridge fired.
Okay. And so we've had several magazines tendered into evidence. I won't grab one right now, but can you explain what a magazine is?
Yes, a magazine is where the cartridges are stored inside the firearm before it is fired.
Okay. And I'm going to grab what's been marked as State's Exhibit 119 and put into evidence. This is 119, and I'll provide this to you. So can you explain to us, if somebody has multiple magazines with this kind of firearm, can you explain how they would change out those magazines?
Yes, so this is the magazine well of this firearm. You would just insert this magazine into the magazine well, and to remove the magazine, you just press the magazine release button on the side here and pull the magazine out.
Okay, so is that a pretty quick process to be able to do if someone knows how to do it?
If you know how to do it, yes.
Right. Was there also a bore sight on the gun when you examined it?
There was not a bore sight on the gun, no.
Okay, can you tell us what a bore sight is?
A bore sight is typically, it's a device that kind of looks like a cartridge. You typically load it into the chamber of the firearm, or it's on the muzzle of the firearm, but it assists you in sighting in your firearm roughly so that you do not have to go to the range and shoot with actual ammo. You can do it somewhere else without firing it.
Okay. And I want to talk about a few specific cartridges. So if you want to if there's somewhere you feel comfortable setting that up there, we can return it to the box. Thank you. I'm going to show you what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit 120 and tendered into evidence. So this is tendered into evidence as State's Exhibit 120, and we're going to try to grab some scissors for you. And just to refresh the jury's recollection, could you tell us what that is and where it was recovered from based on the evidence bag?
So this is a 223 cartridge recovered from the chamber of the firearm.
So if you can, we'll move that from its evidence bag just so you can show the jury while we're talking about it. So tell me about this specific type of cartridge.
So this is consistent with a Winchester Varmint X cartridge.
Okay. And what is that type of cartridge, I guess, designed to do, specifically on impact?
So these cartridges are specifically designed by the manufacturer for hunting. Okay. Yes, and they have a gray polymer tip on them, and when they hit a target, they are designed to expand upon impact.
Okay. And I'm now going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 124. And in here, we've got two different types of cartridges. We're going to talk about each of those. So if you can get... you can start with either one, but we just want to talk about the two different types of cartridges. Sorry, there's a lot of layers going on there. So tell us about what those two cartridges are, what they're designed to do, and kind of what the difference is between them.
So this is a Full Metal Jacket 223 cartridge, and this is a steel tip 5.56 cartridge.
Okay.
So the steel tip has exactly what it says. It has a steel tip in the right under the jacket of this bullet. So it's a higher penetrating round is what that is designed for. It's also a 5.56, so it's going to be that higher pressured round. This is a 223 Remington. So again, same dimensions, just lower pressure round.
Okay, and you said Full Metal Jacket. What does that mean?
Full Metal Jacket means that the jacket is covering the entire projectile.
Okay. And is that designed, does the jacket help as far as penetration goes, or what would be the purpose of that?
Yeah, it helps with a variety of things. So the jacket's going to help it travel down the barrel more cleanly. Obviously, the core of that projectile is lead, so it helps it from deformation a little bit.
Okay, and are these also designed to expand upon impact?
The Full Metal Jackets are not, no.
Okay. But the other ones are?
The Winchester Varmint X's are, yes.
Okay. And when we say expand upon impact, can you kind of explain what that means?
Yes, so a lot of times this polymer tip will break off of this cartridge, the Winchester cartridge, and it allows that front of the projectile to actually mushroom out and to expand out so that it actually stops when it impacts something.
All right, and again, I know the cost won't be totally consistent throughout, but what's the approximate cost for these different types of cartridges?
So the green tip and the 223, so the 5.56 and the 223 Full Metal Jacket and steel penetrator are going to be around 60 cents a round. And then the Winchester Varmint X is a little more specified cartridge, so it's probably going to be around $1 a round.
Okay. So you're talking about 223 and 5.56. Are both those types of cartridges able to be used in the firearm in this case?
In this case, yes.
Okay. And can you kind of explain how that works?
Yes, so dimensionally 223 and 5.56 are essentially the same dimensionally. It's again that pressure. 5.56 has a higher pressure than the 223. So you can shoot a 223 in a 5.56 firearm, but you wouldn't want to shoot a 5.56 in a 223 firearm because it may not be rated for that extra pressure.
Okay. And following your examination, what did you do with the evidence that you examined?
I repackaged it and returned it.
Okay. So we referenced, I'm going to provide we referenced that there was a gun lock on that firearm. Can you show the jury what the gun lock looks like and explain what it does and how it works?
So this is a gun lock. It goes through the magazine well and through the chamber of the firearm, and it essentially makes it so the bolt cannot close all the way on the firearm.
Okay. And can you just demonstrate for the jury how one would put on and take off a gun lock?
Yes. So essentially you take one end and you feed it through the chamber or the magazine well and through the chamber, and then you would just lock it on the end.
Okay, so it's kind of just like putting a lock on a locker.
Yep,
okay.
Exactly.
I do not have any further questions for you. Mr. Berry may have some questions.
Cross.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Just want to ask you a few questions about the firearm. Do you know the approximate weight of that firearm?
This one in particular, I do not.
Okay. You said that you had to pull the trigger for each time the gun fired. Is that correct?
I took an average trigger pull test. Yes, I did.
Okay. What's the average trigger pull of a 9mm pistol?
It depends on the type of 9mm.
Okay. Would you say that it would be more or less than this particular firearm?
Again, it's going to depend on the type of firearm.
Okay. So each firearm has a different trigger pull?
It can, yes.
Okay. Would you say generally that a pistol would have a less trigger pull than a rifle, or do you know?
Not necessarily, no, I wouldn't say that.
Okay. So it's all subjective.
The testing of the trigger pull was not subjective. I did that with a actual gauge. So I took a trigger gauge and actually tested the 3 trigger pulls on that and then averaged it. So no, that was not subjective.
Well, does a 9mm, would it act very similar to the rifle in the way that you would pull the trigger, you would get one bullet would come out?
Again, that's going to depend on the type of firearm, but generally a semi-automatic pistol would operate in the same way that you would pull a trigger and one cartridge would be fired.
Okay, well, let's just say a Glock 9mm. You're familiar with those?
I am.
Does it have the same function that this rifle would have?
It is a semi-automatic pistol.
Okay. So they would function similarly?
They have different ways of operating. This is a rotating bolt direct gas impingement rifle, so the way it actually operates is differently, but as far as being a semi-automatic, they are both semi-automatics.
Okay. In other words, you would have to pull the trigger each time you fired it?
That is correct.
Do you know the approximate cost of a Glock 9mm?
That's going to vary depending on the generation of the Glock. So there's a lot of variations that can go into that, whether it's a newer Glock or an older Glock.
Okay.
Just like there's any variation.
Have you actually checked on the cost of the firearm that you examined?
This one in particular, yes, I did look at the MSRP.
Okay. And did you do that about the same time that you did the testing?
Yes.
All right. Nothing further. Thank you.
Any redirect based on cross?
Has anything been added to that firearm to modify it in any way?
From the original equipment manufacturer, yes.
Okay, can you tell us about that?
Yes. So this firearm is not sold with a vertical foregrip typically from the manufacturer. Now, if it was sold with this like this, that is a possibility. But from the manufacturer, it is not sold with a vertical foregrip, these canted sights, or this red dot sight.
Okay, and can you tell us what the purpose is of each of those things?
Yeah, so vertical foregrip helps in actually holding the firearm itself and stabilizing it. The canted iron sights help in aiming the firearm. And then the red dot sight is also for aiming.
Okay. Is there an accessory rail added?
Yes, there's a Picatinny rail added so that you can put on the canted sites.
Okay. Nothing further from me. Thank you.
Any recalls?
No, yeah.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. You're free to go. State cost next, please.
You might want to take just one moment to get the evidence on the witness stand that was stated upon Dr. Amanda Maddox.
Okay, we have been watching right alongside of you as the third day of the trial of Colin Gray continues inside of this Barrow County Superior Courthouse. You were just listening to expert testimony from a GBI
and Judge Dr.
firearms
Maddox is the medical
expert.
examiner
The
who
court is
performed
in
the
a bit of
autopsy on the four victims. Again,
intervening period right now between witnesses,
who this next victim,
and
or
you're
who
still
this
hearing
next
the
witness
voice
is.
of, I
We
believe,
are
the
not
prosecutor
intending to publish
there.
any.
But this is towards the end of the day of the third day of this trial as we get ready for 11Alive News at 4 o'clock. We'll have much more on all that has happened inside the courtroom. Our Marissa Sarbach is going to deliver a live report in moments. We are also covering tough news here. Sandy Springs police just confirming a 2-year-old was shot and killed. We'll have a live report coming up in moments on that and more information on a reported disturbance on a Delta flight on its way to Atlanta that had to turn around and return to Houston. All of that coming up in less than 60 seconds right here on 11Alive Plus News at 4.
Coming up on 11Alive Plus, a newly released video shown for the first time in the courtroom following the gunman's path during the Appalachia High School shooting. The stunning developments in the trial of the father of the accused shooter.
And chaos in the cabin on a flight headed to Atlanta. We are breaking down the new footage after a passenger forced the plane to turn around as other travelers stepped in to restrain him.
Plus, spring-like warmth sends temperatures close to records tomorrow, but eventually showers and storms come into play. We'll time out when those arrive.
But first, we're going to begin with some breaking news this afternoon. Thanks for joining us. Streaming on 11Alive Plus, I'm Ron Jones.
And I'm Faith Jesse. A 2-year-old is dead after a shooting in Sandy Springs. Police say it happened at an apartment on Sandalwood Drive that is just off of Dunwoody Place. Sandy Springs police confirming this toddler died. Right now, details are limited. It's not clear how exactly this shooting happened or if anyone is in custody at this hour. We are working to gather more information. We do have a crew headed to that scene. We will bring you updates as soon as we learn more. Well, today, jurors are coming face to face with new video evidence from inside Appalachia High School after a gunman opened fire, killing 4 people, 2 students, and 2 teachers.
Well, the accused gunman that we're talking about is the father, Colin Gray. He's on trial in Barrow County charged with second-degree murder and several other felony charges for allegedly providing his son, Colt Gray, access to that gun. 11Alive's Marissa Sarbach is at the courthouse. She's going to walk us through this afternoon's testimony. Marissa?
Ron, Faith, just in the last 2 hours, the jury has seen a video which is a scanner, which actually shows the crime scene of the classroom and through the hallways, and it's where you can see the shooter took and walked through those hallways. Now, also a GBI expert testified that this is exactly the path that the shooter took, and I do want to bring up that video so you can see exactly what the jury saw. This is the path that the shooter took from the bathroom proceeding to and through a few of those classrooms. Now, we have edited the video to show anything shooting to avoid showing anything graphic. You can see chairs strewn about, desks flipped over, and random shoes left behind, seemingly as teachers and students fled the school. Earlier in the day, we also heard from Appalachia's assistant principal, Dee Martin. During cross-examination, the defense grilled her about whether this shooting could have been prevented. From 8:46 in the morning, when a teacher first sent an email alerting the assistant principal that her student, Colt Gray, had just asked if they do any active shooter drills. She testified on Monday that they found this conversation alarming, and it led to the subsequent search for Colt Gray. Now, the shooting happened at 10:22, approximately an hour and a half after that initial email was sent to the assistant principal.
She, a lot of things, but she was very nervous and obviously distressed. She told me that the book bag looked heavy and that she felt like there was definitely something in there. And I just tried to calm her down and tell her that I would handle it.
She knew what Colt Gray looked like.
Correct.
Did she give you a description of him?
No.
Did you ask her?
No.
Okay. Did you ultimately find out he was white male?
Yes.
Okay. Had long blonde hair?
No.
Okay. You didn't find that out later?
No. And she said he left towards the beginning of first, probably around 9:50.
And what time did the shooting actually start, if you remember?
10:22.
So he had been missing then for 32 minutes, correct?
Correct.
A crime scene expert for the GBI actually showed the rifle that they testified that Colt Gray used in that shooting to the jury just moments ago. They also testified that he brought 106 rounds of ammunition to the school and brought 103 rounds of ammunition to the school and used 36 of them. Reporting live outside Barrow County Court, Marissa Sarbach for 11Alive News.
Okay, Marissa, thanks for staying on top of the story. By the way, folks, 11Alive, we're going to bring you live coverage from the courtroom every single day of this trial. You can stream our coverage on your time on 11Alive Plus.
Well, now to this new video tonight from on board a Delta Airlines flight headed to Atlanta that was forced to turn around after passengers say a man attacked two people on the plane. Passengers sharing this video showing the chaotic moments on board the plane about 20 minutes into the flight from Houston to Atlanta. In the video, a flight attendant tries to calm the man when he moves across the aisle to the other seated passengers. Witnesses say the situation escalated quickly.
A guy walks aggressively by me and aggressively back, and he bumps into my shoulder and starts completely wailing on my head. He punched me 3 times and then walked back and then started attacking another gentleman behind me.
This one guy in the window seat, he was yanking him by his shirt, his hair. Passengers say before that, the man tried moving towards the cockpit door.
We had a passenger get up and try to access the cockpit. And just to verify, cockpit is secured.
He wanted to speak to the pilot. Video shows several passengers restraining the man in the aisle until that plane could turn around.
Here, come to the gate. The police are there waiting.
Exclusive video from our sister station KHOU shows the man being led off the plane in handcuffs. We're blurring his face because police have not publicly identified him, and it's unclear what charges he may face. Eventually, the plane departed from Houston again, landing here in Atlanta. Yeah, so police say no injuries were reported here. Delta telling 11Alive 85 passengers and 5 crew members were on board at the time. The airline reiterated that the person did not make contact with or attempt to access the flight deck. Delta says it has zero tolerance for unruly behavior and is deferring further questions to law enforcement as this investigation continues. Ron, it's just a silver lining here that people weren't hurt for the most part, except for those 2 people who were attacked.
Very, very bizarre situation there, Faith. Thank you. Gwinnett County police say a child was hurt after finding a gun and accidentally shooting himself in a fast food restaurant. This happened in Mulberry. So officers tell 11Alive it happened along the Brazelton Highway near Hamilton Mill Parkway. The child was taken to the hospital to be treated. Right now, it's unclear if anyone will face any charges. Hey, we got a live look right now, Blue Ridge, and let's see what it looks like. Yeah, it's pretty gray compared to yesterday. We've been tracking some warm temperatures, a little chance of rain later on this week. Let's bring in meteorologist Melissa Nord to talk about that. Yesterday, what a contrast, right? A lot of sunshine, but today, gray skies.
Gray skies are back, Ron, but the temperatures are going to keep getting warmer and warmer day by day as we head through the week. And we've got outside a lot of clouds right now. Not a lot of rain. There's a couple of very stray showers that I'm tracking out there, but for the most part, it's just the cloudy and mild temperatures that are dominating our weather story this afternoon. 67 right now in Atlanta, not quite as warm as yesterday. We do have a few spots that are up into 70-degree range. We've got that in Covington, also out in Eatonton. It is 72 degrees there, mid-60s from Canton and low 60s in the North Georgia mountains. So we see the cloudy skies right now. I'll show you on satellite imagery. The clouds are with us, but we're also seeing on radar a couple of isolated sprinkles. That's about it. There's a front to our north that keeps us humid tomorrow, but it also opens the door for even warmer temperatures to move in as we see some sunshine breaking out tomorrow afternoon. This evening, we're going to be in the 60s, falling back to the low 60s by midnight tonight. More spring-like warmth tomorrow. In fact, we'll crank up those temperatures by nearly 10 degrees. This is going to be close to record heat for tomorrow. We'll break down that and the return of showers and storms to kick off your weekend. That's ahead. Danielle?
All right, Melissa, here is a look at the 285 perimeter and inside of Atlanta. We have 3 incidents that are showing up on the map, but the one that I have been really focused on, this is at 285 near Forest Park. This is really near Frontage Road. The maps are saying that there's some type of debris in the road on 75 right here near Forest Parkway. Right now, we are trying to see if we can figure out exactly what kind of debris in the road, but it is causing a little bit of delay. All the rest of the incidents are very small, whether it's a small stalled vehicle. There is a brand new crash that looks like it is on the connector, but it is actually on a surface street. So I have more details on that coming up in the next few minutes.
Okay, thanks a lot, Danielle. All new tonight on 11Alive Plus. Georgia lawmakers are now trying to pass legislation to rein in abuses of artificial intelligence, even as entertainment and political figures widen its use. 11Alive's Doug Richards looks at what they hope to do.
When a social media user dropped AI-created video depicting 2 well-known actors engaged in a fictitious computer-generated fight scene, it showed some of the capability of artificial intelligence.
Hi, it's Senator John Ossoff.
When Republican Congressman Mike Collins produced fictitious AI video of his political rival John Ossoff saying things Ossoff never actually said, it showed how AI can mislead voters.
This bill basically says you have the right to control your voice and your likeness.
House members heard testimony on one of more than a dozen AI bills under consideration at the state capitol, designed to protect against AI uses that deliberately mislead.
I know artists I've talked to, producers in Georgia, multi-Grammy award-winning producers in Georgia. This is a big deal for them, and this scares them. This keeps them up at night.
Although President Trump has indicated a desire to enact federal laws to rein in artificial intelligence abuses, Georgia lawmakers see inaction from a Congress unable to agree on much of anything.
We want to be the lead state to make sure that this doesn't happen in our state, and hopefully the Congress will catch up.
Lawmakers say they want to pass legislation that curbs AI abuses, yet doesn't stifle its innovation.
After everybody kumbayas, and let's get something that we can get moving on this thing, because AI is moving fast, and we need to make sure we're never going to get ahead of it, but we need to at least make sure we're keeping up with it.
Yet halfway through this session, no AI bill appears to be close to passing. The legislation is evolving, kind of like AI itself. At the Capitol, Doug Richards, 11Alive News.
Well, they compete on different fields and different ice, but share the same beginning and the same unbreakable bond. Their story takes center stage when we come back.
And she ordered Girl Scout cookies and got a sweet surprise she'll never, ever forget. You're going to see for yourself next. All right, here we go. Winning gold once again. And this morning, Olympic ski champion Michaela Schifrin hit the slopes in the women's slalom event, and she ended up right back on the podium winning the gold medal. So this is her second Olympic gold medal in the event after first winning gold back in 2014 in the Winter Olympics. The medal is her fourth Olympic medal overall. And American skier Lindsey Vonn is finally back home in the United States. She returned to the USA after spending just a little bit more than a week in a hospital in Italy. Vonn is still bedridden as she continues her recovery from a fractured tibia. And the 41-year-old posted on X, "Haven't stood on my own feet in over a week. Been in the hospital bed, immobile since my race, and although I am not yet able to stand, being back on home soil feels amazing."
Yeah, we are all rooting for her recovery. It took a lot of guts to do what she did, and just hoping that she comes out on top here with this recovery. Now, a resort in Milan gaining lots of traction among tourists and the locals. 11Alive Cheryl Preheim shows us how Lake Como is standing out.
We're talking to so many Olympic tourists who say they are having a blast at all of the competitions. They say the crowd energy is huge and they wouldn't miss it. But they also want to do sightseeing. And there's a spot just north of the city here of Milan that's known for its beauty and its celebrity. The city of Milan might be in the spotlight during these 2026 games, but just north of the city is another place that, even in a country full of beautiful spots, stands out as one of the best.
If you have to set a love story anywhere in a beautiful setting around the world, it is Lake Como.
Lake Como is located at the foot of the Alps, where mountains rise from the water in a lake with a distinctive Y shape from ancient glaciers. Even in the winter, Lake Como attracts thousands of tourists looking to see nature and historic villas, some home to the biggest celebrities.
Very important people and famous people coming to Lake Como, buying beautiful homes and estates, and therefore it became even more popular. George Clooney is among them, for sure. Gianni Versace had a beautiful villa there.
George and Amal Clooney left their home at Lake Como, came into the city of Milan for some of the Olympic celebrations. We saw them right here at the Galleria Mall just a couple of days ago. Reporting at the 2026 Games, Cheryl Preheim, 11Alive News.
And I actually saw Cheryl. She was in that spot where George and Amal was, and she was able to walk through that circle. It's on her social media along with all of her great content. Now, some of the best moments in sports happen outside of the realm of play. It's the unbreakable bonds among those teammates.
That's right. So we're talking about 3 University of Georgia athletes. That bond was never defined by a roster. It's been defined by their birth.
That's right. And 2 share the ice in hockey. 1 competes in volleyball, but their connection, it was formed long before any of them chose a sport. Here's our Marcus Greaves.
I didn't really know how to do even like the day-to-day life without them being around, so it was just nice to have that seamless transition.
It's a bond built from day one. Estelle plays volleyball at the University of Georgia, while Isaac and Truman take the ice together for the UGA hockey team. Different sports, same unbreakable sibling connection, and a life experience few others get to share.
It's pretty cool to have 2 siblings you've just walked through like the same stage of life together with, whether that be just like competing in the backyard or little things like that. It's just a really cool experience.
Pretty cool. I don't think either of us imagined after high school. You know, we were kind of up and down about what we wanted to do, where we wanted to go, and then now, 4 years later, being able to go on the ice together every 4 times a week, like it's pretty cool to be able to continue that on, and also obviously to be able to watch her still do her thing.
And you could say the 3 of them manifested this years ago, back when it was a joke to their parents.
We were like, hey, we're going to make it real easy on you. We're all going to go to the same college, and when you guys visit, you can just come visit all of us. And they kind of laughed or whatever, like, oh, that'd be great. And then little did they know it would come true.
And of course, being triplets comes with a question I couldn't leave unanswered. Who's the parents' favorite?
Oh, shoot.
This is going to take some thought.
I think it's different for each parent. We only got 2 parents, so I don't know. I'm Dad's favorite. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a little bit of a dad's daughter. I would say they're pretty even.
Yeah.
But all in different ways.
Different sports, different paths, but the same family bond for these 3 Bulldogs. The jerseys may change, but the connection never has. In Athens, Marcus Greaves, 11Alive Sports.
All right, as a yellow jacket, I won't say go Dogs, but that is fantastic. That's so fantastic. All right, we got clouds right now over Atlanta, over Athens. This is a live look, looking ahead towards baseball season getting underway as we push towards spring, but we're not in actual spring yet. We're in false spring. We've got temperatures right now in the 60s and low 70s, and tomorrow we're going to be very close to breaking or tying a record. Forecast high is 77, the record from 1891, pre-industrial revolution, pre-development in the city was 78 degrees. So we'll see if we get there. I would say we'll be close, maybe not quite there. We will see some sunshine tomorrow afternoon that'll push us close to it. Average high this time of year is 59, so we're going to be a solid 20 degrees above average almost tomorrow afternoon. Spring-like warmth is here for now. It is false spring or a red bud winter because as we head towards next week, some of the trees are already blooming outside, and we're going to see some of that cooler air moving in. So we are not done with frost and freeze territory. I expect several mornings early next week to be within that frost and freeze territory. So enjoy the warmth while it lasts. It is not here indefinitely. All right, European model. You see the clouds outside today? We've got more clouds and even rain chances building back in for the rest of the week. Little front to our north doesn't really fully slip through. It sets the stage tomorrow for warmer air to come off the Gulf and really surge those temperatures up into the mid and upper 70s, but it also increases the humidity. So a couple spotty showers possible Thursday, better rain chances coming in Friday with a front, and then that front stalls out over us through Saturday morning, so it gives us some higher rain chances there as well. I'll show you a little closer hour by hour on the forecast track. We'll keep the clouds around overnight tonight. Kind of like today, we start off tomorrow morning with a few patchy areas of mist or drizzle. Maybe some briefly dense fog, but then those winds should pick up, and that should scour out any low cloud cover and give us sunshine breaking out for tomorrow afternoon. That's going to send us up into the mid and upper 70s for high temperatures with a southwesterly breeze tomorrow afternoon. Really nice afternoon to spend a little bit of time outdoors. You'll need shorts and short sleeves tomorrow. Definitely feeling like springtime. Now, we get into Friday. Here comes our front. It's going to bring us some scattered showers throughout the day. We'll see that front stalling over us, so more waves of scattered showers, a few thunderstorms and downpours come in overnight through Saturday morning. Then the dry weather comes back in for the second half of the weekend. Half an inch to an inch and a half of rain coming from this particular system. So again, tomorrow, rain chances very low first thing in the morning. Otherwise, we're up to a high of 77 degrees. Okay, 7-day forecast. You see the cold coming back after our weekend rain chance. Saturday's high 53. Several mornings below freezing Monday and Tuesday of next week. I mentioned redbud winter earlier. Here's some redbud trees blooming down in Peachtree City yesterday afternoon. Thank you so much, Debbie, for sending in this photo. That is our Weather Wow moment of the day. You can post your photo in the 11Alive Weather Impact Facebook group and join the conversation.
We're going to stay on top of that breaking news right here on 11Alive Plus.
That's right. A 2-year-old shot and killed in Sandy Springs. Police on the scene right now on Sandalwood Drive. And that is where we find 11Alive reporter Angelina Salcido.
So, Angelina, what have you learned about this investigation into this child's shooting death?
So we just found out that Sandy Springs police actually got the call about a child death for this 2-year-old at around 2 p.m. this afternoon. They came here to this apartment complex on the 2600 block of Sandalwood Drive at 2 p.m. to investigate this child's death. When they got here, they tried to revive the child, but they weren't able to do that. Right now, they're currently on scene trying to piece together how this happened, why this happened, and the circumstances surrounding this 2-year-old's death. Right now, though, they say that there is no threat to the community. There are a lot of neighbors that are out here trying to figure out what's going on, why this happened, and why a 2-year-old had to lose their life to gun violence. This afternoon, we spoke to some neighbors who told us that they're shocked. They're really surprised that this happened in their neighborhood. One gentleman has lived here for 10 years, told us that he has never seen something like this happen in his neighborhood. He had just woken up for the day when he found out that this happened. We spoke to another teenager who was here, heard a loud boom sometime early this afternoon, and was surprised to find out that a 2-year-old had actually been killed when that loud boom happened. He had no idea that that was the circumstances surrounding that incident. Right now, you're taking a look above this incident at what this looks like as police conduct their investigation. I'm told that they have been here, obviously, since early this afternoon. It has been a few hours since police have been here trying to piece together what has happened to this 2-year-old going in and out of this apartment complex building. I will tell you that we are outside of the apartment complex. Property management does not want us to be on the inside of the apartment complex. So we are doing our best to try and learn some more information about what happened here. Obviously, this juvenile lost their life. We're trying to figure out whose family they belong to and what happened. As soon as we get some answers, we'll, of course, bring those answers straight to you guys. We're live in Sandy Springs tonight. Angelina Salcido, 11Alive News.
And we know that you are hustled to the scene, really tried to work that scene, got kicked out of the neighborhood, and really working from the outskirts there. I mean, just tragic, a 2-year-old. Angelina, thank you so much for bringing us the updates. We'll check back in with you as you learn more.
All right, coming up next, new data shows who could feel the first signs of an economic slowdown and why the gap may be growing once again. A closer look at the numbers and what experts are warning about. You're watching 11Alive News at 4 on 11Alive Plus.
And a person of interest in the deadly postal worker shooting is in DeKalb County custody. Ahead at 4:30, we look at his criminal history across multiple states. Hey, well, it is the time where if your New Year's resolution was a diet, kiss it goodbye, because those Girl Scout cookies are knocking on the door. Those delicious cookies everyone is so excited about as sweetness fills the air. But for one Coweta County girl, the cookies are even sweeter. Caitlin Ross has this story.
This is the sweetest surprise. Atlanta area Girl Scouts say they had no idea that they were going to be on the boxes.
I was really excited and surprised.
Girl Scout Brianna Yufanti-Fieria was shocked when the box showed up at her door. Her picture on the front of the Exploramores cookies.
I was surprised that I was on it.
The pictures are from a few years back at a Girl Scout photo shoot. The local council submitted them to the national organization. Now she says everyone wants a piece of the famous cookie box.
I'm gonna sign people's cookie box so they know that I'm on the box.
Not that people need convincing to get in on the goodness.
They should buy cookies from us because the cookies can make you feel happy and be in a great mood.
And if you want to know where to get your hands on these cookies, we put a link on how to find them on our website, 11alive.com.
All right, here's a live look at I-75 northbound near Forest Parkway in Clayton County. It is slow and go as a lot of heavy traffic is building in that area. I have another look around the perimeter coming up.
We bought a box of those cookies. They're really good. They go well in cold weather. They also go well in warm weather, maybe with a glass of lemonade outside tomorrow. Look at this, close to record heat on the way, but all good things must come to an end. I'll tell you when our next freeze will arrive to North Georgia. That's ahead at 4:30.
Hey, thanks for sticking with us, streaming right here on 11Alive Plus. Tonight, we are learning more about a person of interest in custody after a postal worker was shot and killed on the job in DeKalb County.
Yeah, so while the U.S. postal inspectors have not revealed the person of interest's name, investigators say that he was taken into custody for an unrelated Atlanta homicide. 11Alive's Molly Oak is trying to piece things together in this case. So, Molly, you actually spoke with the mom of the slain postal worker, DeQuavius Graves. How is she feeling tonight?
Well, tonight, Ron, she says she's on the path to healing with the news that a person of interest is in custody. She says this is only helping and very anxious to hear more details. Now we're digging into those details and trying to connect some dots for you tonight. A person in custody. The person of interest in the deadly shooting of a postal worker in DeKalb County was taken into custody yesterday by Atlanta police because investigators say he's charged in connection to a homicide there in August 2024. The Atlanta homicide happened on West Marietta Street. APD says they found 24-year-old Donato Bradford shot and killed, and that 24-year-old Nigel Williams was taken into custody Tuesday for that crime and charged with murder, aggravated assault, and possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. 11Alive dug into Williams' past and learned he has a criminal history in multiple counties and states, including aggravated battery and aggravated assault charges, along with an open warrant out of Maryland for failure to appear. Graves' mother also tells me that she's in the process of planning his funeral. She does not have a date set for that yet. Reporting live, Molly Oak, 11Alive News.
Yeah, this is going to be really tough for the family, especially as they move forward and if it ends up going to trial. Molly, thank you.
Well, let's head outside right now for a live look. In Blue Ridge, you see, I believe those streets look a little wet there. My eyes aren't too good.
Yeah, a little
bit.
bit.
Yeah, right, a little bit. We're
Yeah.
tracking some more warm temperatures and those rain chances this week. Somebody who knows if those streets are actually wet is meteorologist Melissa.
It's got to be. It's got to be.
They're a little damp.
They're
And
a little
also,
damp? Okay.
I have found a rain shaft in Atlanta.
Okay.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Do you see behind me?
Yeah, I can see it.
The darkness
Yeah.
that reaches all the way to the ground.
Okay.
It's just right here. That is a rain shaft. So a little bit of rain coming down to the ground as well. I've been watching that on radar. It's not much more than just a few very brief showers. But we can see them. We can see that on our live cameras. This is a wonderful tool that we have and we utilize each and every day. And we can also see those couple of little sprinkles and showers on radar as well. I'll zoom in the radar so you can see we've got one of them kind of just on the north side of Lake Allatoona. Here's the one over Atlanta that we could see on that live tower camera. It's right over the I-20 corridor west of the downtown expressway, the downtown connector there. So as you travel through the west end and out to the west, towards Collier Drive, you end up hitting that one spotty shower. And that's going to be lifting northeast, so eventually in towards West Midtown, I think, over the next 15 to 20 minutes. It's not much, though, and there's not going to be too much on radar tomorrow, but I do think we could see a spotty shower as we bring in more humidity overnight tonight and keep the clouds in place. At the moment, we're at 70 in Covington. We've got 72 right now in Eatonton, and it's 67 here at the airport. This evening, we'll keep cloudy skies around. Could there be a sprinkle at your house? It's possible. I just wouldn't make those plans around it. Look at this, though. Tomorrow, we crank up the heat by nearly 10 degrees. We're going to be just shy of tomorrow's record from the 1890s. The warmth will eventually come to an end. We'll also be tracking some rain chances for the weekend. We'll talk about that ahead. Danielle?
Warmer days ahead. I love it, Melissa. Here is a look at your traffic. What we're monitoring right now, this is on the south side. This is near Forest Parkway. This says 285 eastbound off ramp 275 is closed, but I'm thinking that there's some kind of debris, so they have like one lane closed. Right now, we're not seeing any huge backups, but as you take a look at your live camera outside, you can see it is definitely slow and go. Once again, this is at I-75 in Forest Parkway in Clayton County. Now, to take a close look into the connector this evening, there is an accident. However, this is really off on 17th Street, so it's not really impacting the traffic that is on the connector, but this accident is at 17th Street, which is exit 251A. As we take a closer look into the Grady curve this evening, traffic is moving a little bit slower northbound, but overall, we're not monitoring any huge incidents for your evening commute.
Well, this afternoon, a man is being called a hero after saving someone stuck on train tracks.
Yeah, that's right. This is an amazing story. 11Alive Chase Howell posted this video explaining what happened.
I'm here in DeKalb County with a story about heroism after a man died here on these train tracks behind me at the intersection of Ponce de Leon and Clarendon Avenue. The family of Brent Davis says he died a hero after he was hit by a train, saving his friend's life after his car broke down on these train tracks. Brent's family says he was the second oldest of 6 siblings, loved to produce music, was just a cool guy, and would do anything for just about anybody. Brent died at just 38 years old, and we did reach out to the DeKalb County Police Department for an update on its investigation, but they tell us it's ongoing.
By the way, you can watch more stories just like this one on your time. Just download the 11Alive app by scanning the QR code on your screen.
Well, a deadly crash in Savannah, now at the center of an immigration case after investigators say a driver fleeing federal agents killed a local teacher. Well, now his wife is speaking out as questions grow about what led up to that pursuit and what happens next here. Authorities say Oscar Vasquez Lopez sped away from agents with the U.S. Department of Homeland Security after an initial traffic stop and then ran a red light and crashed into elementary school teacher Dr. Linda Davis, who later died. Investigators say Vasquez Lopez suffered minor injuries and now faces possible deportation to Guatemala. Officials say that he already had a final removal order issued in 2024. Now, his wife says that she hasn't spoken with him since before this crash and says that she fears what's next for their family.
I just want him to get a hold of me. I want to know what's going to happen to him, if they're going to deport him.
Vasquez Lopez remains in custody as federal and local investigators continue reviewing this case, including possible charges and next steps in his immigration proceedings.
A Georgia teenager accused of rushing toward the U.S. Capitol with a loaded shotgun appeared in federal court for the first time today. 18-year-old Carter Camacho of Smyrna was arrested yesterday on the west side of the Capitol, and police said that he was wearing a tactical vest and gloves, and told them that he was there to speak with the members of Congress. Camacho is also facing federal charges that could result in up to 5 years in federal prison. He's going to stay behind bars until his next court appearance in March.
Well, nearly 2 weeks after Nancy Guthrie vanished, the FBI is now canvassing businesses with photos of possible suspects. While one gun shop owner says the faces look strikingly familiar.
And new data shows black households could be hit really hard first if the economy slows down. We're going to break down what's behind the gap and what it could mean for families all across Georgia. You're watching 11 Alive News at 4 on 11 Alive Plus.
Happening tomorrow, President Donald Trump is headed to Rome, Georgia, right in the heart of the 14th Congressional District, where early voting is underway for the election to fill the seat left vacant by Marjorie Taylor Greene up in North Georgia. The president endorsed Clay Fuller last month. My Georgia Vote co-anchor, Zach Merchant, he has the latest on tomorrow's visit. That's coming up here at 5:30.
We have new details tonight in the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie as investigators expand their search for a possible suspect. So a gun shop owner says that the FBI came to his door asking him to check a list of names and photographs. And nearly 2 weeks after Guthrie vanished, Tucson shop owner Philip Martin says an FBI agent showed up with a packet of roughly 24 photographs and names, asking him to see if any of the men that they showed him had recently bought a gun from his store. Martin says that he searched his records and found no matches. However, says many of the images look similar to the man seen in the surveillance video outside of Guthrie's home.
Based on that video that I saw of the kidnapper at the house who was caught on camera, the facial hair that I saw on the video reminds me a lot of these photographs.
Investigators have not said if that list is actually tied to a specific suspect.
Temperatures in the 60s right now. We've got near record warmth on the way tomorrow, but I'm also tracking rain chances to kick off your weekend. We'll time those out next.
Hey, Team USA back on the ice today with the shot at advancing in the tournament. The U.S. facing Sweden right now. This is a look at Snoop Doggy Dogg at the game, the Olympics. I think he just owns the Olympics.
He really does.
Canada punched its ticket to the semifinals after edging Czechia in overtime on Friday. And for Team USA, Austin Matthews, he leads the squad in goals and total points, while Maria gonna have to get me Kachuk. There we go. Yep. Paces the team in assists. I'm sorry, Matthew, as the Americans look to move one step closer to the championship.
Yeah, here we go. So throughout all the Olympics, we've been showing you these sports are really harder than it looks.
That's right. One of the sports at the forefront of week 2 of competition, hockey. And our sports anchor, Maria Martin, joins us now. Maria, you are going to try to play a little bit of hockey. You got all the pronunciations right, so I'm sure you can get it right on the ice too, girl.
Kachuk's a tough one. That's definitely a tough one. And hockey pronouncers are really hard too. But you know what, guys? Just the skill of hockey is really incredible. Just ice skating is incredible. But then you throw everything else that these hockey players have to do. High rates of speed, change of direction. It's simply incredible. So I decided to put the gloves and a sweater on to help show everybody that hockey is actually harder than it looks.
Welcome.
That's pretty good.
Hockey is fast. The change of direction.
Just try and shoot it into the net and not fall. That's probably your goal.
Okay. The elite skill.
Ready?
And it's harder than it looks.
It's colder than it normally is at a rink. I need my tea. We're ready.
You can't forget a little trash talk, too.
You need someone to tie your skates too, or what?
You want to tie my skates for me?
No.
I'm telling you guys right now, hockey is hard.
Try and make that sound. Yeah, you gotta catch it.
What am I supposed to do? That?
Whoa, nice stick handle. Didn't even teach you that. Those knees. Yeah, that's it. Good.
There was a sound?
That's it.
Hockey players make shooting the puck look really easy, but it's not. Don't worry. I got a handle of things.
Oh, wow.
No!
1 for 3. Pretty
I did
good.
It, though.
Pretty
it's
good.
Not bad.
Got some air on those too.
It helped to have some good instruction.
Nice.
That's 2 out of 3.
That's pretty good.
That was fun. Now I feel like I can play hockey. I can't play hockey.
Not yet.
Even though I think I did great. Hockey is definitely harder than it looks.
Good job.
You know what? Shout out to the Atlanta Gladiators for helping me out with this. Joey Cipollone and Dylan Caravia, they were my coaches. They did such a great job. Even if they let me trash talk him the entire time, that's not even half of what these guys do on the ice. And they did suggest fighting. I said, no, not today. Maybe next time. Okay.
That's like the only sport where it's not
know.
allowed, but like it's expected.
I had such a blast. And for those of you that know me, hockey is one of my favorite sports. So this was the best assignment for me. I was like a little kid the whole time.
Pop,
I know.
And we're learning so much from her, like chiclets. I thought it was gum, but it's actually teeth.
It's teeth. I also had a one-timer on that, so that's the goal, the last goal that I made. When it's passed to you and you slap it, that's a one-timer.
But you didn't check anyone. Did I get that right?
She came back with all her teeth.
Great job. No, they did tell me I could. I slash is a penalty, and I did slash one of them. They let me do that. We're gonna have an extended version next week.
When you hit them with the
whenever you take your stick and you hit them, it's a penalty. So
they let you do that?
They did. I didn't hit them hard. Okay, I didn't hit them hard.
She's going to the penalty box.
They don't want me out there.
Sin bin, remember?
Oh, the sin bin. The sin bin.
You got it.
Yeah, sinning bad. Anyway.
You got it.
That was so fun.
It really was.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Nice job.
I can't follow that up. Definitely doesn't feel like hockey weather outside right now. It's very warm. Maybe we're like Tampa Bay Lightning warm or something like that. 67 Atlanta right now, low 60s in far north Georgia. With temperatures being so warm the last couple days, the trees are starting to wake up. We have our 3rd day so far this month in the high range for tree pollen. Main contributors, elm, juniper, pine starting to show up, but that pollen count 189 is just the beginning and tip of the iceberg when it comes to pollen. If you've never lived here in Atlanta for a pollen season, you're in store for, I don't know if I'd call it a treat or just
A glaze of yellow on everything outside. Some of those peak pollen counts we get every year are well into the thousands. Our record is 14,801 from the end of March last year. We have a lot more warmth to come the next couple days, but it is not here indefinitely. Once we get past the start of the weekend, colder air is coming back. So are we done with spring cold temperatures yet? No, we are going to have more frost territory and more freeze territory to come. But tomorrow, not so much. Look at these numbers. 77 the forecast high. Record for the day from 1891 is 78 degrees. We're going to be almost 20 degrees above average for this time of year. Close to that record, and we'll be in the mid-70s again on Friday. But we also track the increasing chance of rain. There's a front to our north that'll keep us humid as we head through the overnight tonight, leading to a couple of stray showers or patchy drizzle. Tomorrow, stray shower possible. We're really warm in advance of the front. Friday, it arrives with some scattered showers, and then it stalls out over us for Saturday morning. So we have more rounds of some rain and even some locally heavy rainfall possible. Here's the forecast track hour by hour. Temperatures tonight staying in the low 60s for a lot of us first thing tomorrow morning. That's warmer than where our average high temperature is this time of year. Notice a little bit of green as well on the forecast track. There could be some patchy areas of drizzle or mist first thing, or some sprinkles, kind of like what we've been tracking today with how humid it is. But I do expect by tomorrow afternoon that low level cloud cover to thin out. We'll break into some sunshine with a southwest breeze, and that's what sends us up close to records tomorrow afternoon. As long as we see the sunshine coming out, we're headed to those mid and upper 70s. If the clouds hold a little stronger, we'll be a few degrees cooler than that. Friday, rain chances start to come in, some scattered showers, stray rumble of thunder in there. The front's still over us on Saturday, so you can see more areas of locally heavy rain are going to be possible. So we'll pick up between now and the start of the weekend. Half an inch to about 1.5 inches of rainfall. For tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies in the morning. We'll see some hints of sunshine coming out late in the day. We'll go with a high of 77. Record for tomorrow is 78. Record on Friday is 78 degrees. Be a few degrees off of that. Rain chances to start the weekend. Here comes the cold. 28 degrees Tuesday morning. Colder than that in the suburbs.
All right, Melissa, here is a brand new crash. This is on I-20 eastbound at Riverside Parkway. This is at exit 46. This is once again near Six Flags. Here is a closer look at this accident. We're also continuing to monitor the possible debris in the road at I-75. This is a look at that brand new crash I was telling you about on I-20 near Six Flags Parkway. It looks like at least one lane is closed, maybe two. Several police officers are on the scene, as well as a Hero truck. That is my major crash for this evening. Everywhere else is moving pretty smoothly, as some people are still on a holiday week this week.
Well, ahead of any possible economic slowdown, new data shows some families could feel the impact first. On 11Alive Plus this morning, we took a closer look at why Black households often face those shifts sooner. Dan Kennedy has more from today's conversation.
In case you missed it this morning on 11Alive Plus, new data suggests that Black households may once again be the first to feel trouble if the economy starts to slip. We dug into those numbers with Bingay Ajilare, the chief economist at the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities.
So this has been building for decades. Once in a while, so we saw during the aftermath of the pandemic, when we had a very tight labor market, that the gap between Black and white unemployment rate started to close. They were starting to get better jobs. At the same time, when the labor market gets tight, wages start to go up. Now, over the last year, and one of the things I want to focus on is look at what happened with the federal workforce. Because one thing about the federal workforce, it's always been one of the best places to find a job, good wages, great benefits. And we've seen with DOGE last year that has been targeting the federal workforce. So that's played a role in the higher unemployment rate for Black households.
You can catch interviews like that every morning from 9 to 11 a.m. on 11Alive Plus from here on our streaming center. We also follow breaking news as it happens. We'll see you tomorrow at 9.
Developing right now on 11Alive Plus, the city of Sandy Springs is now looking to keep semi-trucks off neighborhood streets. The city council voted Tuesday to update its truck ordinance so it designates certain highways and state routes and roads as truck routes and looks to keep trucks off city streets unless they're making local deliveries.
Hey, listen up. If you have a bench warrant for missing court in Griffin, this is your chance to fix it. For the next 2 months, you can pay your original fine at Griffin Municipal Court. That warrant will be dismissed. The $200 penalty, that will also be waived. Now, if your offense requires court, you will get a new court date. This does not apply to probation violations, and this program, it runs through April 30th.
All right, coming up next, a new push to bring the NHL back to Atlanta, and a growing women's team is helping build up all that hype. Why some say hockey's next home could be our area, and it could be a no-brainer. Welcome back, everyone. As U.S. men's hockey team gears up for that critical win tonight, excitement is already building for another reason with Metro Atlanta's hockey scene. 11Alive's Joe Ripley explains.
I want you to pass your defense. It's David Back's first year as head coach of the Lady Thrashers, an all-women's community hockey team. An opportunity that slid into his lap.
Is this going to be supported by the community? And I think the answer to that is an overwhelming yes.
Another opportunity could crop up just down the road, one that could grow the game of hockey and bring billions in economic development. There are at least two separate bids to lure an NHL expansion team to Metro Atlanta. Two former teams, the Flames and the Thrashers, played in downtown Atlanta. The teams eventually moved away. Former Lady Thrashers player Kat Martin thinks with the right ownership and location, an NHL return could prove successful.
I think if they can build a rink either in Alpharetta or right at the southern tip of Forsyth where they're talking about building it, that's where the hockey people live. So I think they'll have a better time getting the hockey people to come to games.
Last June, Forsyth County Commissioners approved The Gathering, a $3 billion mixed-use development that would include an arena to host NHL games. The city of Alpharetta is also conducting its own study to figure out if hockey could be viable there.
In the South, you have competition with outside sports.
Despite certain cost barriers and uncertainty elsewhere, an NHL homecoming could grow the game, and all that comes with it.
They definitely want to think about the surrounding area of having, restaurants, other things that have appeal, concerts, things that make people feel safe, but also they want to do outside of just going to a hockey game. They want to do things where they're building up that environment around it.
Back predicts the area will get an NHL team in the next 3 to 4 years, but he's no fortune teller.
I think it'd be a no-brainer. I'm ready to buy season tickets right now if we get that rink coming up here. So I think it's only a matter of time till it happens.
Joe Ripley, 11Alive News.
By the way, Forsyth County says its site for the gathering is already ready to go, already zoned, funded through the tax district, and set to gain better access from those traveling on Georgia 400. The city of Alpharetta says that its plan is still under legal review, with an update coming up here pretty soon. Hey, we got some breaking news tonight at 5 o'clock. A 2-year-old killing in a shooting in Sandy Springs. What we're learning about that investigation, that's coming up next.
Yeah.
Hi.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Tonight on 11Alive News at 5, a flight bound for Atlanta disrupted by an unruly passenger. What people on board are revealing to 11Alive about what happened.
Thicker clouds, not as much sunshine, and just a couple of raindrops here and there. We'll see a few more of those raindrops developing as the next rain system moves our way.
And a child killed in a shooting in Fulton County. We are live from the scene with what we're learning, and that is where we begin with that breaking news for you tonight. Thanks so much for joining us here streaming on 11Alive Plus. I'm Jennifer Bellamy.
And I'm Faith Jesse. All of this unfolding in Sandy Springs. Police on the scene right now on Sandalwood Drive. That is where we find 11Alive News reporter Angelina Salcido hustling out to that scene. Angelina, we saw you in our last hour. What more do you know about this investigation into the child's shooting death?
Well, Faith and Jennifer, you know, this child that was killed is just 2 years old. A tragedy really out here in Sandy Springs, in this neighborhood that is quiet and traditionally does not see crime like this happen, according to neighbors who have lived here for quite some time. So I can tell you that police responded to this area at about 2 o'clock this afternoon. I want you to take a look at some chopper video that will show you what this looks like from the sky, basically, because they have been canvassing this area, trying to piece together how this happened and why this happened and what led up to this 2-year-old being shot inside of an apartment complex and their life being taken away. So they got a call at around 2 p.m. for a child death. When they got here, emergency personnel tried to revive that child, but they were pronounced dead at the scene. They still don't know how this child was shot, why the child was shot, what led up to the child being shot. Neighbors in this area said that they were confused about what was going on once they started seeing police cars rolling into the neighborhood. I want you to take a listen to what a neighbor had to say.
And I heard a big thump outside. I ignored it because I thought it was someone's engine problem or like just, you know, the typical things that happen in neighborhoods. And so later on, I sat down with my mom to watch something on TV. And so she started noticing like cars drive by constantly. And so that's when she went outside to check out what it was. So I went outside with her, and then, yeah, there's crime scenes already set up.
You know, Joseph lives right next to where this scene is actually all unfolding. He and his mom have been watching officers canvass that area, come in and out of the apartment complex where the shooting actually happened. Obviously disturbing for them to even see and know that a 2-year-old was killed in this area. They want some answers, but this community really wants some answers, as I'm sure that people at home will want some answers as well. We've been following up with Sandy Springs Police as they continue their investigation. Right now, they just say that this is an active investigation. They're working to get some answers as to what led up to this 2-year-old being killed earlier this afternoon. We're live tonight in Sandy Springs. Angelina Salcido, 11Alive News.
Just jarring news to have to report on. Just 2 years old. Angelina, thank you for bringing us the latest. We'll check back in with you as you get updates.
An investigation underway tonight after Gwinnett County Police say a child was hurt after finding a gun and accidentally shooting himself in Mulberry. Officers tell us that it happened along Brazelton Highway near Hamilton Mill Parkway. The child was taken to a hospital to be treated. It's not clear right now if anyone else may face charges. Well, tonight we are learning more about a person of interest in custody now after a postal worker was shot and killed in DeKalb County. While the U.S. postal investigators have not revealed the person of interest's name, investigators say he was taken into custody for an unrelated Atlanta homicide. 11Alive's Molly Oak is piecing together these cases. And Molly, you spoke with the mother of that slain postal worker, DeQuavius Graves. How is she feeling now with this latest update?
Now, Jennifer, she says she's relieved to hear that investigators have the man they believe killed her son. She said this is not only a path towards healing, she says she's also anxious to find out more details as they hopefully come in the days to come. Tonight, we're digging into this person's criminal history and also connecting the dots. A person in custody, the person of interest in the deadly shooting of a postal worker in DeKalb County, was taken into custody yesterday by Atlanta police because investigators say he's charged in connection to a homicide there in August 2024. The Atlanta homicide happened on West Marietta Street. APD says they found 24-year-old Donato Bradford shot and killed, and that 24-year-old Nigel Williams was taken into custody Tuesday for that crime and charged with murder, aggravated assault, and possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. 11Alive dug into Williams' past and learned he has a criminal history in multiple counties and states, including aggravated battery and aggravated assault charges, along with an open warrant out of Maryland for failure to appear. And when I spoke with Graves' mother, she said they are still in the process of planning the funeral and they don't have a date set for that just yet. Reporting live, Molly Oak, 11Alive News.
Let's get a check of your 11Alive weather impact forecast. Chief Meteorologist Chris Holcomb joining us. Chris, it's warmer out there, but we did see some clouds out today.
Yeah, we saw a lot of clouds out there today, and even radar trying to show a little bit of green, of maybe just a couple of raindrops here and there. Not a lot of rain, and most of what you're seeing on radar isn't even making it down to the ground. But you can see the cloud cover in our area right now when you take a look at the satellite and radar imagery. And then as we zoom in a little bit tighter here toward Atlanta, you can see some of that green, which was indicating, again, nothing really widespread, but maybe just a couple of raindrops here and there making it down to the ground. And any of that is moving up toward the north and to the east. Our air at the surface is still relatively dry. That's going to start getting a little more moist over the next couple of days, and that would sustain the potential for a few additional showers that are going to move in. Rain chances tomorrow are only going to be at about 20%, but then they go up on Friday to 40%, and then a 60% chance for some showers here on Saturday. So not only is the temperature going up, but the rain chance is also going up too. Here's a live look from our tower cam in DeKalb County at Arizona Avenue, looking westward toward the city. You can see some of those clouds that we have out there right now. Again, nothing really major with any rain. Now, through the rest of the evening hours tonight, it's going to remain cloudy. Temperatures are also going to pretty much stay in the 60s. Thanks to those clouds, that's going to hold in some of the warmth of the day, and we're really not going to cool down that much tonight at all. We do go down to those lower 60s overnight and even upper 50s here by tomorrow morning, introducing that 20% chance for a couple of showers as early as tomorrow morning. Again, not a lot of rain around tomorrow, just a couple of spotty showers here and there, but those rain chances do come up as the warmer air moves in. We're talking about which days over the next few days we all have the potential for maybe getting close to a record. We'll have more on that coming up.
All right, Chris, record high. We love to hear it. Here's a look into, this is in Cobb County at I-20 eastbound. There is a crash that has one lane closed. Good news, I just saw them tow a car off the scene. So hopefully very soon we will start to see that lane reopen, but it's definitely causing a very large delay. So just remember to take it easy in this area. Once again, this is I-20 eastbound at Riverside Parkway, right there near Six Flags. And unfortunately the backup, it's slow and go, but it's not as bad as it would be if all the schools were in today. Here is another look at the debris that we're continuing to watch as well. This has been working for the last hour or so. This is in Clayton County near Forest Parkway. As we take a quick look into the connector, even though we have some schools that are out, we're starting to see things moving a little bit slower at the top end of the connector compared to what we were seeing around the Grady curve. So southbound, you're moving around 12 miles an hour, while northbound moving around 13. Faith?
Happening right now, the state election board meeting for the first time since that FBI raid at the Fulton County Elections Hub last month. 11Alive's Gilad Malamed joining us live in Barrow County. Gilad, as this meeting continues, has the board discussed this raid at all?
Faith, the board hasn't had a discussion around the raid specifically right now, though they are discussing agenda items related to Fulton County. And one of those agenda items is an accusation first brought forward by a citizen of possible double voting by 20 people in Fulton County in the November 2020 election and January runoff. This complaint was initiated by a citizen, and the county's representation here responded to it saying double voting did not happen, and there was an issue, though, with transferring data to the new voter registration system. The board will also discuss a Fulton County poll worker conduct issue in 2020 and an agenda item labeled voter fraud. This meeting will continue tomorrow, where the board will give an update on the subpoena for 2020 election documents and ballots from Fulton County. The board first subpoenaed those documents in November 2024. Of course, the FBI is now in possession of nearly 700 boxes of Fulton County 2020 election records after seizing them during that raid last month. And I did ask board member Janelle King if there's anything she could share right now regarding that update on the subpoena tomorrow. She said she will be making a statement then. She expects other board members to make statements as well, but there was nothing that she wanted to share today about it. Live in Barrow County, Gilad Malamed, 11Alive News.
Okay, still so many questions from that, Gilad. Thank you for bringing that to us. Straight ahead here, chaos on a Delta Airlines flight from Houston to Atlanta. What we are learning about the incident that led to an airplane turning around minutes after takeoff.
And from floor to ceiling, decades of history on display. The Atlanta home where the past is always present. Next. The trial continues tonight in Barrow County for Colin Gray, the father of the accused Appalachia High School shooting suspect.
That's right. 4 people were killed, 9 others hurt when a gunman opened fire at the school on September 4th, 2024.
11Alive's Marissa Sarback has been in the courtroom all week. Marissa, who did jurors hear from today?
Jennifer, Faith, the medical examiner, was the state's final witness today, taking the stand and leaving just about 30 minutes ago when court wrapped up earlier today. Also earlier today, we heard from a crime scene investigator with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. She showed a scan from inside the school, the crime scene. And keep in mind, this is the first time that the jury has actually seen inside the hallways and some of those classrooms as well. And I can tell you, it was absolutely silent in there. You can see the video is in slow motion, and it shows the path the shooter took work, first starting in the bathroom, then proceeding to and through a few of those classrooms. We have edited that video to avoid showing anything graphic. Now you can see chairs and desks flipped over, random shoes left behind, seemingly as students and teachers fled the school that day. Also today, the school resource officers who were able to stop the shooter took the stand.
One of the victims was laying in the hallway. Because of the smoke and the dust and everything, I initially thought it was a duffel bag until I got close enough. Once we got pretty close to Colt, we were able to see that he was a student. The AR was down in front of him. He was compliant. We were able to get him down while Deputy King covered him with lethal cover. I proceeded to handcuff him and do a search and pat down for weapons and anything else.
The GBI crime scene investigator also testified today that Colt Gray brought 103 rounds of ammunition to the school that day and fired 36 of them. Court has adjourned for the day, but resumes tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Live outside Barrow County Court, Marissa Sarbach, 11Alive News.
All right, Marissa, another day of very emotional proceedings there in Barrow County. Thank you so much. Meanwhile, we are staying on top of this trial for you as long as it continues. We are streaming daily on 11Alive Plus. Well, there's some new video tonight from on board a Delta Airlines flight headed to Atlanta that was forced to turn around after passengers say a man attacked two people on that plane.
That's right, and we do know that this flight was leaving from Houston this morning when all of this chaos started. Passengers sharing this video, check it out here, showing this chaotic moment on board this plane about 20 minutes into this flight from Houston to Atlanta. In the video, a flight attendant tries to calm the man when he moves across the aisle to other seated passengers. Witnesses say this situation escalated very quickly.
A guy walks aggressively by me and aggressively back, and he bumps into my shoulder and starts completely wailing on my head. He punched me 3 times and then walked back and then started attacking another gentleman behind me.
This one guy in the window seat, he was yanking him by his shirt, his hair.
Yeah, video shows several passengers restraining this man in the aisle until that plane could turn around. Some exclusive video from our sister station, KHOU, shows this man being led off of the plane in handcuffs. We're blurring his face because police have not publicly identified him, and right now it's unclear what charges he may face.
Well, tonight, new video shows the police response to an emergency landing in Gainesville last week. You might remember this story. This video comes from police body camera at the scene on February 9th. The plane had to land on Browns Bridge Road near the intersection of Pearl Nicks Parkway during the middle of the day there. The plane did hit multiple cars, and according to the incident report, the pilot lost power in the engine. He also had to make a last-minute adjustment to avoid hitting power lines. Fortunately, only minor injuries were reported. Georgia Power customers could see a small drop in their bills this summer. That's if state regulators sign off. The company wants to lower the fuel charge because the price of coal and natural gas has gone down. At the same time, though, the company is also asking to collect nearly $912 million for the next 4 years. That's to cover storm damage, mostly from Hurricane Helene. Georgia Power says the fuel savings would be bigger than those costs, which would mean a 1% drop in the average power bill, or around $1.30 a month. State regulators will make that final decision. Also tonight, the city of Sandy Springs is looking to keep semi-trucks off of neighborhood streets. City Council voted Tuesday to update its truck ordinance. It designates certain highways and state roads as truck routes and looks to keep trucks off of city streets unless they are making local deliveries.
Hey, the United States in third place tonight for the amount of Olympic medals. Right now, our total medal count, that is at 24. Norway is in the lead with 33, and Italy has one more than the U.S. with 25, putting us in third place there. 11Alive Cheryl Preheim, she is in Italy for us tonight with a look at the latest with Team USA.
Hello from the Winter Olympics here in Italy. Michaela Schifrin is golden once again. Team USA skiing winning gold in slalom, and Michaela ending a long Olympic drought. You know, she is the best ever in World Cup, rarely loses, but the Olympics have been an ongoing struggle. So today was redemption. She cried tears of joy and relief and said she felt her late father right with her.
And then my thoughts were really on my dad. I thought, like, if this could go this way, I would take a moment and talk to him. But these moments are only ever earned, they're never given. And every time that I've earned a moment like this, it's been a mix of joy and elation and relief, and it's all part of that, and that's sport.
Michaela didn't just win it. She won it by the largest margin of any skiing event in 28 years. Alana Myers-Taylor also very busy in Cortina getting ready for her next event. She will race in the two-woman bobsled this weekend coming off the monobob, and I had a chance to talk to her. She says at this point she's feeling every bit of 41 years old, the oldest member of that team, taking her a little longer to recover, but her experience was clutch when it mattered most.
It's funny, the reason this soaks in so much that I have been to 5 Olympics and that this is my 5th Olympic cycle is because now there's people on the team that will tell me they watched me in the 2010 games when they were in elementary school or something like this, and I was like, holy smokes, that was that long ago.
What a career. 5 Olympics, 6 medals, and counting. She has that other race this weekend, two-woman bobsled. She would love to bring another medal home to Georgia. Reporting at the Winter Games, Cheryl Preheim, 11Alive News.
Temperatures feeling pretty good out there today. We got up to the upper 60s once again. Even with the additional cloud cover and not as much sunshine, we were still able to warm up nicely. And the warm-up's going to continue. In fact, we're going to be well into the 70s tomorrow as well as on Friday. And then on Saturday, we start cooling down just a little bit. With the clouds that we had out there today, most places have not seen any rain at all. Radar is just showing a little bit of green with just a couple of raindrops here and there. And not all of those are actually making it all the way to the ground. So again, 99% of us are dry out there. Just a couple little raindrops here and there that are very light. And still nothing major is moving our way yet. Tomorrow, we're just going to see a little bit more of that moisture to give us about a 20% chance for an isolated shower to develop, but then those rain chances go up more on Friday and Saturday. Live look right now in Noonan. You can see that cloud cover out there. At times, clouds try to thin out a little bit just to give us a little bit more of the light, but still not much sunshine making it through those clouds. This is our tower cam. We're looking over Truist Park, still seeing that good coverage of clouds out there right now too. After topping off at 69, we're down a couple of degrees now at 67. We have mainly mid and upper 60s all around the area. 68 right now in Athens and in Covington. Carroll County, right now one of the cooler spots at 61, but everybody else generally in those low to mid 60s to the north of I-20. And as we go through the day tomorrow, starting off with mild air, temperatures in the upper 50s to near 60 degrees, and then we start coming up to around 66. We will see a lot of clouds in the morning, 20% chance maybe for just a little isolated shower, and then mostly cloudy at noon and 2, and then again another 20% chance for an isolated shower later on in the afternoon hour. So here's the cloud cover now. Again, not showing a lot of green out there on radar for tonight. Now tomorrow in the morning, notice that on that day planner I just showed you a moment ago, we were showing just a 20% chance for an isolated shower. And then by afternoon, maybe even some breaks in some clouds, but with some of those clouds, there may still be enough moisture to give us a couple of spotty showers here and there, but maybe even more sunshine by later on in the afternoon hours before more clouds build in. And then this next system coming in Friday and Saturday gives us a better rain chance. Early on Friday, a few scattered showers, then maybe some breaks in the late morning to early afternoon, and then in the afternoon, another chance for showers. Saturday, again, the potential for some of those off and on showers that'll be with us. A couple of those could be a little heavier at times. We've got a 40% chance for showers Friday, 60% chance on Saturday. After that rain clears out, it is going to get colder. 53 for a high Sunday. Look at the morning lows Monday and Tuesday. 30 Monday, 20s on Tuesday with afternoon highs in the 40s Monday. Back to the 50s though on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Well, the injuries are piling up for our Atlanta Braves. Marcus Graves gives us an update on a few of the pitchers coming up next in sports.
Okay, well, Major League Baseball has not even started yet, but the injuries are starting to pile up.
Yeah, you hate to hear it. The Braves pitching rotation is taking some hits. Our Marcus Greaves joining us now with the very latest on what's going on.
Yeah, that's right. The team placed Spencer Schwellenbach on the 60-day injured list and then Hurston Waldrop, and it just seems like the Braves just can't catch a break. And this has already been a roller coaster trying to figure out the Braves starting rotation. Schwellenbach already had surgery and Waldrop will soon follow. Today, manager Walt Weiss gave an update on his pitchers.
Waldrop, he has a procedure on Monday, so nothing on him. Schwellenbach had a procedure this morning to remove the spurs. He's got the loose bodies in there, so you know that's what they're dealing with. Yeah, so he'll have a procedure to remove those loose bodies. Well, you know, Schwelly's already on the 60-day. Waldrop's heading there. You know, so that they don't have a timeline. It's too far out. So, yeah, with them both being on the 60-day, there's not a whole lot to talk about. Yeah.
All right, we are just a few days away from the Auto Trader 400 out at Echo Park Speedway, and the track is already being transformed for Atlanta's first NASCAR race of the year. Sunday's race will feature some of the best drivers in the sport, including Dawsonville's Chase Elliott. Earlier today, I talked with general manager, Brandon Hutchinson, about the exciting weekend ahead.
We pride ourselves in producing some of the best in live entertainment. It just so happens that this weekend we've got the best racers in NASCAR that are going to be here as well. So we know we're going to have 858 miles of on-track action, and we know that when cars aren't on track, the fans that choose to come to Echo Park Speedway are going to have something to do throughout the entire weekend, whether it's the party in the Peach Pit, whether it's the options you have to support Speedway Children's Charities, whether it's the fan experience at the Cracker Barrel stage. The entire fan zone is going to be hopping all weekend. So we hope your viewers will come out and join us. Going to be a big weekend.
And the Hawks announced today that the team will reevaluate the knee of forward Jonathan Kuminga in 1 week. Kuminga still remains in recovery mode after sustaining a left knee bone bruise in late January when he was with the Warriors. So it appears Kuminga will miss at least the next 4 games for the Hawks. This also means that both Corey Kispert and Zachary Richelet will be getting more playing time until Kuminga gets back into that rotation. And the Hawks will be back on the court tomorrow to take on the 76ers.
We are looking forward to that, Marcus. Thank you so much. President Donald Trump landing in Georgia for a visit tomorrow. What we know about this trip to the Peach State.
Welcome back. We want to get you to our chief meteorologist, Chris Holcomb, for a look at your weather impact forecast. Chris, you're watching that rain you've been telling us about?
Yeah, we've got some showers that are going to be moving in, and the rain chance tomorrow is going to be really low, and then we see the rain chances going up a little bit more on Friday and Saturday. And at the same time we're watching rain moving in, the temperatures are really going to start warming up. It's all thanks to the southerly flow that's going to transport the warmer air our way, but it's also going to be transporting some moisture our way too. So let's focus on the temperatures first, where we're going to see mild air here today. We have it here in place now. But then if you think that's warm, just wait until we get to tomorrow and Friday, because then we're talking about even warmer air with temperatures in the mid and upper 70s on Thursday as well as on Friday. So that's going to be warm. And I know that many of you have spring fever and you think that spring is here, right? No, spring has not sprung. Winter is not over. Look at this. Going into Sunday, colder air is going to start moving in. We're going to see our highs go from the mid and upper 70s on Thursday and Friday to around 70 on Saturday, and then only 50s here on Sunday. And then after that, we'll also have morning temperatures for the start of next week that are going to be at or below freezing. So it is going to be cold, but it doesn't look like it's going to last a long time. We start to see the warmer air out to the west but start building in, and that'll move in for the middle and also to the end of the week. So will we see any records? The record highs for Thursday and on Friday for both days, the record high is 78 degrees. We'll be up to 77, we're thinking, on Thursday. So we may miss that record by just 1 degree on Thursday. Expecting 75 for a high on Friday, maybe 3 degrees below the record for your Friday afternoon. So stay with us. We're going to be timing out more on that colder air returning and the timing of that rain and how it's going to impact your weekend coming up.
A lot of changes there. We look forward to that, Chris. A jury will determine what happens next for the case surrounding a former Douglas County judge. We're talking about Christina Peterson. She was arrested at a Buckhead nightclub back in 2024. Well, we know that a misdemeanor simple battery charge and a felony willful obstruction charge in connection to that arrest, those have been dropped. But Peterson is now charged with 1 misdemeanor count of willful obstruction. She was in court today representing herself in this case. And we heard from several witnesses, including an officer involved in this arrest and a security guard at the club that night. Her attorneys previously said the charges from her arrest weren't justified because she was trying to help a woman who was being attacked by a man. Well, last month, Peterson filed a complaint against the city of Atlanta for violation of her civil rights.
For many of us, the Olympics are about world-class athletes, record-breaking moments, and national pride.
But for one local collector, the games are also about something else. Colorful characters, rare finds, and memories that span decades.
These are the infamous Izzy's. Oh, this is What Is It? And this is Izzy from Atlanta.
Walk into Randy Parsons' world and you'll find yourself surrounded by Olympic history.
And mascots come in all forms. You know what that is? It's a Pez. I don't have enough. I can't take all of it. No. This is probably a pretty nice sized collection.
A collection of mascots, from plushies to pins and all of the memorabilia in between. He says each piece of his collection holds a memory.
This was my first mascot that I saw. Okay, I hated it. It's a flattened dog, you know, oh my God. I think I'm going to have to do something, but I hated it. But it grows on you after a while.
That flattened dog is Kobe, the mascot of the 1992 Barcelona Olympics. Once Kobe won him over, Parsons was all in, collecting mascots from winter and summer games around the world.
You can't forget the Paralympics. And this is kind of an unusual plush. She's called Petra, but this is a very rare one to get because I guess a lot of kids didn't want this, but it's really unique.
From Ronnie the Raccoon at the 1980 Lake Placid Games to one of the most talked about mascots in Olympic history, Atlanta's Izzy.
Atlanta came out with a program because when this mascot came out, it came out in the closing ceremonies in Barcelona. Okay, Maynard Jackson was out there, and all of a sudden there's this, what is it? So that's how he got his name. They had a contest of the name, what is it? And somebody named him Izzy.
But for Parsons, the collection is about more than rare finds or resale value. It's about the people he shares the Olympics with.
My son, Kenny, we've been going to, as a father-son, we developed that bond. Milan will be his 12th Olympics and my 13th.
And now with the 26 Winter Games in Milan, Italy, Parson keeps adding to his collection.
These are the new mascots. And we don't know what LA is going to bring, but I'm sure it's going to be very interesting.
While some of his pieces are worth hundreds of dollars.
It's expensive, but we do it on a shoestring budget.
Parson says the real value is priceless.
What an incredible collection that our Cheryl Preheim got to explore there. Now, Parsons and a few collectors, they meet the third Monday of every month, trading, sharing, and celebrating their love of the Olympics. And with each new games, he's hoping to add a few more mascots. We'll see what he can get in LA 2028. Well, on the eve of a presidential visit to Northwest Georgia, we'll look at all the different ways President Trump could affect state politics in 2026. We'll be right back. On Thursday, President Donald Trump returns here to Georgia for the first time since winning the state and the presidential election in 2024. And my co-anchor of the Georgia Vote, Zach Merchant, joining us now. Zach, the president is coming here for a specific reason, of course, but we'll be watching for some other signs when he touches down in Rome, Georgia tomorrow.
Yeah, Faith, there's going to be a lot we will be watching for. Let's start with this. According to the White House, President Donald Trump, he's going to be talking about affordability and the economy when he visits Rome on Thursday. That is tomorrow. So those are definitely political buzzwords we've heard a lot about already in the 2026 midterm election season. But his visit to Northwest Georgia also comes less than 3 weeks before a special election to decide the next representative in the state's 14th congressional district up there in Northwest Georgia. His public falling out with former Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene came shortly before she resigned that seat. The president has now endorsed Republican Clay Fuller as Greene's replacement. We're going to be watching to see if he addresses the race and if he mentions the former Congresswoman. And there are also key statewide races in Georgia this year. The president has already endorsed Republican Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones in the gubernatorial race. That endorsement came long before healthcare CEO Rick Jackson entered the race. In television ads, Jackson has been touting his own support for the president, with Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger and Attorney General Chris Carr also courting Republican votes. We're going to be watching to see if the president has anything to say about the governor's race. And in the U.S. Senate race that's also ongoing, President Trump has not yet endorsed a candidate. 3 prominent Republicans, Congressman Buddy Carter, Congressman Mike Collins, as well as former college football coach Derek Dooley, they are all running in the GOP primary, seeking their party's nomination to go on and challenge incumbent Democratic Senator John Ossoff in November. Whether Trump endorses a candidate in the race remains to be seen. We're going to be keeping a close eye to see if he mentions that race. And we'll end with this here. This visit comes just weeks after the FBI carried out a search of the Fulton County election hub. It is the latest development in President Donald Trump's long-running claim that voter fraud impacted the results of the 2020 election right here in Georgia. Multiple recounts and court cases have failed to uncover evidence of fraud to the level that it would have tipped the result of that race. These are all things, Faith, Jennifer, we're going to be watching as the president comes to Georgia for a scheduled discussion about wage growth and affordability.
And we will be tuning right on. And Zach, thank you for that breakdown. Hey, still to come here, key moments in history, covering walls of one Atlanta home, how this family is preserving the past in a big way.
Plenty of clouds and just a little bit of moisture right now, but more moisture moves in, increasing our rain chances. At the same time, our temperatures will be going up. We'll time it all out for you coming up.
We are staying on top of breaking news tonight out of Fulton County, where Sandy Springs police say a child has been shot and killed.
That's right. This is a breaking news story we have been on top of for hours. Police right now still on the scene on Sandalwood Drive. That is where we find 11Alive news reporter Angelina Salcido gathering information for us. Angelina, we're talking about a 2-year-old shot and killed here. What more have you learned about this investigation into this child shooting death?
Well, we're going on just over 3 hours of police being here on scene after they got a call at around 2 p.m. that they needed to respond here to this apartment complex on Sandalwood Drive to the 2600 block after this juvenile was shot inside of the apartment complex that happens to be on Sandalwood Drive. So they did not know what they were going to encounter when they responded to the scene here. They knew that a juvenile was dead, though. When they got here, they encountered that 2-year-old who had been shot, tried to revive the 2-year-old, and were not able to. The 2-year-old was pronounced dead here at the scene, and now they're trying to piece together what happened here, why the 2-year-old was shot, and the circumstances around the shooting. You're taking a look from above right now at the crime scene here. So we were in the apartment complex earlier around, basically around the crime scene today, and the property management ended up asking us to leave the property while the police continue to investigate. But investigators have been going in and out of this apartment complex trying to piece together what has happened here, trying to talk to neighbors and witnesses who may have seen this shooting, ask them questions, and learn more about this 2-year-old, about this 2-year-old's family, and learn about the circumstances surrounding this shooting. We spoke to Sandy Springs Police, asked them if we could learn some more information. Right now, they tell us that it is an active investigation. Once they learn some more information, they are going to tell us some more, obviously. We spoke to neighbors. We're going to bring you some more from neighbors who live in this neighborhood, who also tell us that shots were fired last night as well. We'll talk to you about that at 6.
All right, Angelina, thank you so much for that update. We're going to take a quick break and rejoin you here streaming on 11Alive Plus and on the air on 11Alive.
Welcome back. You're watching 11Alive News at 5. For those of you just watching the Olympics, welcome. And I know we're all celebrating that big win by USA in hockey. We're also celebrating the really nice weather that we're dealing with out there. Now, when I say nice, I'm talking about the warm air that's in place. We got up to 69 degrees for a high today. We do see a lot more clouds, though, and there have even been a few little raindrops here and there. Now, the warmer air is going to stick with us, and it's not only going to stick with us, it is going to get warmer during the day tomorrow. We're going to be experiencing 70-degree temperatures beginning as early as noon tomorrow through about 7 o'clock at night there, with our highs in the mid and even some upper 70s in spots, and we're going to be really close to a record here tomorrow. We may be around 1 degree away from the record, so you'll most likely be wearing your spring wardrobe, even though we're going to have a lot of clouds out there. Here's what we're watching right now. We have the cloud cover over us here in Metro Atlanta. You see a little bit of green showing up here and there. That's where we've been seeing just a couple of raindrops. Most of us have been dry, and a lot of the green that you're seeing there hasn't actually made it to the ground, so a lot of us are still dry out there. Live look right now in Athens over to the east. You can see the cloud cover there, but I do want to show you this. Speaking of a few raindrops making it to the ground, this is up in Blue Ridge. The pavement a little bit damp there from a couple of raindrops that moved through far north Georgia. Well, it is mild out there right now, and it is going to not only stay mild, but it is going to get much warmer going into tomorrow and Friday. We're talking about mid and upper 70s, close to records. On Saturday, high temperatures are going to be around 70, but we are not finished with wintertime yet. On Sunday, the colder air comes back. High temperatures on Sunday will only be in the 50s, and then Monday and Tuesday morning, we're talking about lows at or below freezing. Even on Tuesday morning, we may even wake up to temperatures in the 20s, and those afternoons will stay pretty cool as well. But it's not going to be a long stretch of really cold air. We'll gradually start warming up a little bit more once we get toward the middle of next week. So will we see any records the next couple of days? Well, the record for Thursday and for Friday is 78 degrees. We'll be at about 77 on Thursday, 75 on Friday for the record. So 1 degree away from the record Thursday, about 3 degrees away from the record here for your Friday. Now, the big question is, who will be experiencing the rain? Well, I do think we'll see those rain chances coming up just to 20% tomorrow. Then we'll see about a 40% chance for showers on Friday, 60% chance for showers on Saturday. But watch these temperatures with that really mild air for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. But we go down to 53 on Sunday, 49 on Monday. And remember, those lows are also going to be getting really cold as well. So here's a look at the temperatures that are going to be high. And as the temperatures rise, the rain chances are also going to be rising too. We've got the 40% chance for showers on Friday, 60% chance on Saturday, and then you can see the drying out but cooling off process down to 49 for a high on Monday. And then look at Tuesday morning, 28 for a low, and we go back up to 52 Tuesday. And then by Wednesday, back up to where we should be for this time of year, right there in the upper 50s. Here's a look at your weather wow moment. We have this picture from Debbie Smetana in Peachtree City of the beautiful blue sky. That was from yesterday there, that picture. Thanks, Debbie, for sending that to us. Debbie's part of our 11Alive Weather Impact Team on Facebook. If you want to join that group, it's really easy. On Facebook, just search 11Alive Weather Impact Team, ask to become a member of the group, and answer the membership questions, and you're in.
All right, Chris, thank you. A lovely photo there. Okay, we are talking about some new video tonight. This comes from on board a Delta Airlines flight heading here to Atlanta that was forced to turn around after passengers say a man attacked two people on the plane.
That's right, that flight leaving from Houston this morning when all of this chaos started. Take a look at this video. Passengers sharing this, showing those chaotic moments on board this plane. This was about 20 minutes into the flight from Houston, making its way to Atlanta. But in the video, a flight attendant tries to calm down this man when he moves across the aisle to the other seat of passengers. Witnesses say this situation, it escalated very quickly.
A guy walks aggressively by me and aggressively back, and he bumps into my shoulder and starts completely wailing on my head. He punched me 3 times and then walked back and then started attacking another gentleman behind me.
This one guy in the window seat, he was yanking him by his shirt, his hair.
Yeah, so the video, it shows several passengers restraining this man in the aisle until that plane could turn around and land back in Houston. Exclusive video right here from our sister station, KHOU in Houston. It shows the man being let off the plane in handcuffs. We're blurring his face because police have not yet publicly identified him. It's unclear what charges he may face.
A former Atlanta police detective is making history come to life in an unlikely place, her garage.
That's right. For nearly 2 decades, she's created a walk-through archive of Black history. And as 11Alive race, culture, and religion reporter Danielle Nottingham tells us, it's a time machine that she's been preserving for her family's legacy.
Inside this home in southwest Atlanta,
watch your step.
History doesn't sit quietly on a shelf.
This room was just a blank canvas. I had nothing in the garage. I would buy those. I think they were like $1 a piece. Malcolm's ex-wife.
It covers the walls and ceilings of retired Atlanta detective.
Yeah, you see this one say boat.
Fitzgerald Lewis's garage.
I started with Barack Obama in 2007.
And almost 2 decades later,
I don't know where I got the picture from.
It continues to grow.
Joe Biden.
With her daughter Nataya by her side.
Well, since we on television with news, we decided to wear our newspaper pants.
Thousands and thousands of clippings and photos of entertainers.
I love this.
Civil rights figures and family stretch across 3 rooms. Even after publications like Jet Magazine and the AJC went digital, she kept going.
I wanted to preserve and to be able to come in this room or come in the other room or go in the garage and see my family and friends. I can get up in the middle of the night and look for somebody on the wall, and they're there.
You can't erase it. There is no eraser big enough. You can't do anything to undo what has been done. And she's placed it in such a way that it's beyond a capsule. It's beyond. You can't put it in the ground. You can't tear it up. You can't, well, you know, you literally have to digest it.
I have a lot of movie stars here.
Lewis says this is her legacy to pass on to her grandchildren.
Jesse Jackson. He played basketball with my son at Greenboro Mall.
Their own museum of Black history that will keep growing.
I will find somewhere to put a picture. I have several now I need to put up. and I'll find somewhere to put it right here with my cousin Brenda.
At a time when some history feels hard to find,
Bishop Dale Bronner.
all you have to do here is step inside a garage.
I love that picture there.
In Southwest Atlanta, Danielle Nottingham, 11Alive News.
Our thanks to Danielle for that report. Well, now to this. Georgia House Republicans say that they are taking new steps to lower insurance costs for drivers across the state. And today, the House leaders and the insurance commissioner, they announced a new package of bills to do just that. Let's get into it. Lawmakers say that insurance rates jumped nearly 60% nationwide over the past 5 years. The bills would increase fines for companies that violate insurance laws, crack down on surprise billing, and require rate decreases if auto insurers make excessive profits for several years in a row. Well, state leaders say that the goal here is to boost accountability and bring more stability to the insurance market.
These priorities guide every step that we take as regulators over an industry that's critical to our state. Last year alone, our office handled more than 14,000 complaints against companies. Through these efforts, we returned more than $110 million back to hardworking Georgia families. This is real money back into your pockets.
Hey, Insurance Commissioner John King says 2 insurance companies have re-entered the market and have already cut its rates.
New data suggests Black households may once again be the first to feel trouble if the economy starts to slip. In case you missed it, this morning on 11Alive Plus, we dug into that issue. The chief economist at the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities spoke with us today.
So this has been building for decades. Once in a while, so we saw during the aftermath of the pandemic, when we had a very tight labor market, that the gap between Black and white unemployment rates started to close. They were starting to get better jobs. At the same time, when the labor market gets tight, wages start to go up. Now, over the last year, and one of the things I want to focus on is look at what happened with the federal workforce. Because one thing about the federal workforce, it's always been one of the best places to find a job, good wages, great benefits. And we've seen with DOGE last year that has been targeting the federal workforce. So that's played a role in the higher unemployment rate for Black households.
And you can watch interviews like this one every morning from 9 to 11, streaming on 11Alive Plus. We are also following breaking news as it happens from our streaming center. All new and next at 6, he lost his life trying to save a woman from an oncoming train, and his family says he'd do it again. How a man is being remembered for his heroic act. First tonight at 6, new video seen for the first time in court showing the gunman's path during the Appalachia High School shooting. The stunning developments in the trial of the father of the accused shooter.
Plus chaos in the cabin on a flight